Hello, everyone. Welcome to a live stream. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the very awesome and special guest we're going to be interviewing in about a week. And we have Brent and Nally tonight, and we're going to be watching some videos with Naveen Jain. About Naveen Jain. He's awesome. What do you think about Naveen Jain, Brent? And it was Brent who scheduled this whole interview and set this whole thing up. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I've been connected with Naveen Jain on LinkedIn for a few years, and then we were messaging some and emailing a little bit last year, and then things kind of died off in what we were working on, what I was proposing to Naveen, I should say more accurately. And then I just thought, you know what? I should reach out to Naveen Jain now that we have our new longevity channel up and going and the brand going, and we're feeling more confident with our live streaming skills, even though we messed up a little bit when we interviewed Vera Gorbanova last night at the very beginning. So we'll have little minor technical errors, but we're improving and we're continuing to get better. And this is really cool technology with the live streaming, and it looks great. Roen, if it's not too difficult, we have the little S, the little Skype in the bottom left-hand corner. Is that possible to edit out? And this is just to test,
yes.
For example.
Watch, so for instance, a little bit of your Skype logo is showing, but I just cropped it out in real time.
Magic.
And mine's already hidden.
Right.
Pretty much.
And I'm watching this live stream here. It's a little bit delayed. Boom. So now it's gone for me. And I see Alex Kotoff and Max Anderson blank, but they'll be here for normal interviews.
Yeah.
So this documentary that we're about to watch was made in 2015. I watched it in 2017. And I've been following Naveen Jain for, probably like over 10 years or something. And he's crushing the social media game for typical like entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And I think he's just really smart and brilliant. And he figured out that the microbiome is really important for health well before most people did. And he founded this company called Viome, V-I-O-M-E. It stands for Victory of your Microbiome. And I've been using their product, for about, I took the test in May of 2019, and I think we got our results in early April 2019, and here it is early June. So probably about 16 or 14 months. My wife doesn't follow her diet as religiously as I do, but I eat probably 80% of my diet is strictly superfoods from my Viome diet, and then maybe another 10% is just the foods they recommend. I never eat any of the foods that they tell me to avoid, but I need to get retested, so that's something I need to do. Heck, and maybe I'll do that like later tonight after live stream or tomorrow. So we'll talk about what Viome is. It's just a poo test. They send you a little kit to your house. You put a little bit of your poo in there. It's not as gross as you'd think because they send you a little kit in there with a little thing that you can tape to your toilet, and it goes right in there, and then you just scoop up a little bit and put it in this little liquid solution that they have in this little tube, and then you send it off to them. So I didn't get any poo on me. It wasn't that bad, and it was a few weeks, and I got my results back. It depends on how busy they are for when you actually get your results back. And then you have a nice little app on your phone. So, because of my digital screen, but you got Viome right there is the app you can see. And then it's nice and beautiful how it opens up there, and it recommends me, my sessions is timed out. I'll put in my password. But in any event,
do you know if Naveen Jain is into his opinion on fecal transplant therapy as a way to restore the healthy microbiome? Has he ever talked about that, as far as you're aware?
Yeah, he's talked about it, and that's very, very clear science. I mean, it is a rapidly evolving science. It still sounds crazy to most people. Actually, Roen, you and I are both fans of South Park, and
yes.
They did an episode on that last season, I think in late 2019, which was hilarious. And I actually know quite a bit about this because I've watched documentaries on it, researched it. Naveen Jain's talked about it. It's what you're doing. The fecal transplants are actually basically implanting a little bit of that fecal matter from somebody else into you, which is sharing some of their healthy microbiome. They test this fecal matter very carefully before they would implant it, right? The donor. and they want to make sure that that person has a healthy microbiome, and not just healthy. They want to make sure that their fecal matter will actually benefit your microbiome specifically. So it's like a match, you know. So
Peter Thiel. Is it Peter Thiel or Peter Thiel? I think it's Thiel,
it's
right?
teal. It's teal. Yeah, it's pronounced teal. It's spelled Thiel.
Yeah, he's also into fecal transplant therapy.
Yeah, I mean it's legit. You wouldn't necessarily want to, from my knowledge, you wouldn't want to go out and just get fecal transplant therapies if you didn't have any symptoms or big problems. Um, but it's for people who are having chronic conditions, and some of the results I've seen have been nothing short of miraculous. But it could be one of those things where, like, for example, I believe that people should be going out and getting healthy mesenchymal stem cells if they have the money, just for anti-aging purposes. I also believe in fetal stem cells from MCell in Kiev, Ukraine. I'll be interviewing Eric Marola about that soon. We were just texting last night. He had a crazy weekend last weekend. We really should have done this interview multiple times, but getting our schedules aligned is tough. But my point is that it could be turning into one of those things that is just like a health thing, where maybe 20 years from now, everybody just gets a fecal transplant every day or every week or every month. As gross as it sounds, there might be awesome technologies where you can just like, whoop, put something in there, and who knows? The future is very unpredictable and very exciting. So just real quick, I'll show you the app right here. So here's my results, and I got to be careful to keep it in front of me so the digital background doesn't overtake it, but it shows me like bacteria. That's good for me. And viruses. Here's the food that it wants me to eat. So here's my superfoods it's recommending for me specifically. So this is personalized for me. But Naveen's going to probably tell me, hey, Brent, this is outdated. This was over a year ago when you did this, so you need to get retested, which I just need to do that. And the price has dropped dramatically. When I first heard about Biome, I think they were charging $399 per kit, and I believe the price is down to like $109 now or $119. And their goal is to keep lowering this price, and their machine learning and AI and all of their technology is just improving. They founded Biome from the technology at Los Alamos Lab in New Mexico, which has been developed by the federal government for many years. I think they've had about $100 million of investment. And Naveen Jain just basically came in as an entrepreneur, a billionaire, and said, hey, love to, I don't know the exact story, so this is where my language, I'm going to kind of I don't want to say anything I don't really know. But essentially the way I kind of understand it is that Naveen Jain came in and essentially said, hey, we'd love to turn this research into a commercial product that can add value to people's lives as a kit that you can take at home. So we'll get all the updates from Naveen, and we'll be doing lots of research in the next week before we interview him to make sure that we can ask the most intelligent questions for him about that.
Yeah, what strikes me as very, very interesting is that basically his diet right here, well, the Biome thing is basically advocating for extremely individualized, personalized diet. It's very similar to the blood type thing. But I'm not saying like the science behind the blood type diet might be very not there. But I would wonder what his opinion of like the blood type diet would be. Have you ever heard him talk about that? And do you know much about the blood type diet? Like eat right for your type? That was a big thing back in the day.
We can certainly ask him about that. I think my computer is actually sitting on the book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. No, it's not. Right over here. I believe it's 2005 or 6. It was actually, Roen, one of those books that as I was just getting into health and things like that, I can't really see it right now, but I have it somewhere in this office. And my wife actually read it just recently again. It was written by here it is, right here.
Dr. P. Diadama, right?
Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Yeah. He, as I remember, and this was like 14 years ago, I think 2006 when I read this book. It's 2020 now. I believe he was a naturopathic doctor in Oregon. Do I have that right?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know much about him, but I just remember back in the day, there was a lot of controversy in him in the diet industry in the field. Like, people were wondering if this is pseudoscience. Is it backed up? There's a lot of disagreements. Some people totally believed in it. Other people were like, this is sketchy. We don't know if this is actually science or not.
Definitely. Hey, did my background go to green for you, or is it still digital?
I think it was green for just a while. Now it's digital.
Yeah, it's weird. Maybe it's because I held the book up. That was really weird because I didn't press anything. I did. I'm on a MacBook, and it just popped up and said, "You have a software update. Do it now, or try in an hour, or later tonight or tomorrow." And when I clicked tomorrow, I think my digital background went back. Super weird with the Skype integration, how that happened. But yeah, so Roen, I think people like you and I and our group in general, Max Anderson and Alex Kotov, I think we just like to keep an open mind. And we have the approach that, hey, if we are going to actually solve the aging problem for humans, we need to keep an open mind and we need to think outside the box. And Dr. Michael Fossel, who has a PhD and an MD from Stanford and is highly impressive, he wrote the first book on reversing aging. It was called Reversing Human Aging in 1996. Also, I highly recommend his 2015 book, The Telomerase Revolution. One thing he told me when I interviewed him in November on my YouTube channel, November 2019, he said, you want to keep an open mind. And I like the quote, "The mind's like a parachute. It only works if it's open." And after I think I said that quote, he said, yeah, you want to keep an open mind, but not so open that your brains fall out.
Right.
And so it's about that balance. We want to, and so for me, when I remember reading this book again, it's been 14 freaking years. It's been a long time. I should at least skim through it again. But from what I recall, he gets into great detail about the evolution of different humans over the last 10, 20, 30, 40,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
And talks about how Asian people were eating a specific diet and therefore theorizing how that has changed and evolved their blood type. And so there are certain things that we've known about blood types for years. This book was written, I think, I read it, I think, in 2006. I think it was written a few years before that. It might have been written in the 90s, actually. But I remember him talking about how maybe these blood types actually evolved. It was written in 96. Dude, I have a good memory. I was thinking 96 and it's 96. He's saying maybe these blood types actually evolved based off their diet over thousands and thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
And so essentially he was saying that there's 4 blood types that people don't know. There's A, there's B, AB, and then there's O. But then there's positive and negative for all those too.
Which blood type are you, by the way?
I'm O positive. So I'm a universal blood donor.
You're the meat blood type, right? You're supposed
Correct.
to eat more meat.
And what's funny is around this same time is when, I was drinking too much alcohol. I was just partying in college, having a good time. I never considered myself an alcoholic, but I was drinking a lot, way too much. I was also 19, 20 years old, 21. So, and when I decided to go to a naturopathic doctor and she put me on a specific diet with specific powders, liver cleanses and things like that, she was giving me all natural, organic, healthy stuff, super unusual for somebody in Lexington, Kentucky in 2006, at a 20-year-old. But I was already kind of in this mindset. And she,
No, you're breaking up there. Yeah, we just broke up a little bit.
Is this better now?
Yeah, I think we're back. We had a little lag.
Yeah, this will be the last thing I'll say. I already read the book and I knew this information before, and she was recommending hardcore that I do the vegetarian diet. And I was like, well, I told her about my blood type, and she was like, well, I don't know about that. Just try it. I was vegetarian for a month. It was brutal. It was really brutal, and I just decided after that, man, my body needs meat. And I'm still a meat eater. I probably eat too much meat. I try to work on that to not eat as much meat. I already read the book. From my research, I also started way back then, 2005 or 6, on centenarians and super centenarians, studying blue zones and things like that. I found that the longest lived people, centenarians, super centenarians, they do eat meat, but they eat about 10% of their meat, little. So you don't want to have too much meat. But, vitamin B12 pills were not around for all of history. How are you going to get your vitamin B12? And there's a lot of people say, well, that's a myth. You can get vitamin B12 from lots of plants and stuff. Yeah, and that's true. But it's not necessarily, these things weren't well known in cultures from a scientific method. And so people didn't necessarily know how to do this. So I think we've evolved eating meat. But who knows? There's going to be people who might troll in the comments or disagree. The point is, I think it's a fascinating book, and I think I should read it again. And we're already off topic. Let's maybe shift back to Naveen and Vion. What do you think?
Yes. Yes, indeed. And I think veganism, I'm sure you'd agree with this, it can be healthy for a lot of people, like being strict vegan. Like
Yes.
if there's a way to do it right. Like if you're taking supplements, you're doing everything right, and eating the fermented foods, you can get all your B12. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And the book says that blood type A, which is about 40% of the global population, as I recall it. Again, this is 14 years ago. I haven't read this book in quite a while. I'd actually, I've learned a lot in 14 years, so I'd love to read the book again and see if I'm reading it and it's making sense and jiving with me, or if I'm like, oh, this is like clear pseudoscience that I know now, from research that I've done. I would imagine that there might be a little bit of both, that there might be things I'm like, wow, this guy was super ahead of his time, and also some things where it's like, I'm not buying this as I read through the book again. So,
Right.
But we're busy, Roen. We're live streaming. We're interviewing people. We're working on all sorts of things. It's hard to keep up with the continuing education, which is really important for us, but it is hard to do that stuff these days for me.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's get to it then.
All right.
Got some people in the live chat already, but let's move on. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, Sam, congrats on getting a billionaire on the show. Naveen Jain is awesome. Well, he's not on the show yet. He's committed to do a live stream with us in a little under 7 days. So it's going to be 6 p.m. Pacific time next Tuesday, June 16th.
Link is in the live chat. I put it in there. Oh, actually, I forgot to update the actual description to put it in there as well. We got to do that.
No worries.
But let's watch.
Meet Naveen Jain.
Oh, hello, how are you?
Oh, Roen, can you pause real quick?
I'm going to show
Sorry.
you.
So I have the live stream on my Google Chrome, and I have it muted on the YouTube live stream link. How do I watch this?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Let me share my screen with you. I think that's pretty much the only way to do it. I have to share my screen with you over Skype.
Cool. Sounds good. Because I saw this video in 2017.
All right. Here we go.
Use some of the cool stuff here. Stuff from space. I probably have the largest collection of meteorites in private hands, and probably most museums. And this is something that I like to share with everybody, and the reason I'm sharing with you is because I want people who can't afford to have them to be able to see what they are like. I want them to be able, people to be able to touch them, and people to be able to feel that same thing that I feel having these meteorites in my hand. This is really nice beast from the moon. So imagine you're holding in your hand a piece of moon. I mean, that is just unbelievable. So people talk about, honey, I'll take you to the moon. I brought the moon to you. I mean, imagine that. Like, this particular meteorite fell last year.
How romantic is that? Taking your eternal love to the moon for your, oh.
Totally.
In California. And I was watching.
Huh?
We need to remember a lot of these quotes to kind of bring up to him during the interview. It's like, honey, I'll take you to the moon. How about I'll bring the moon to you?
There's literally songs about that, like fly you to the moon or something. What is that?
Isn't that fly me to the moon, something, blah. And then it's like Jupiter and Mars.
Yeah. Who is that? Who sang that?
I think that was probably, it sounds like Frank Sinatra to me. It's got to be.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I think so.
The TV, and I saw this woman holding this meteorite. And I contacted her and I somehow convinced her that it's in much better hand with me than with her, because I think it could pay for her kids' college education, which is how I have it. Here's another meteorite that actually hit a woman minding her own business, and this thing from the sky fell through the roof and hit her thigh. That meteorite would be less valuable, but for the fact that it actually hit a human being on Earth. And it's just really fascinating.
Naveen has a seemingly never-ending collection of rocks from outer space. He said they were worth over $9 million, a drop in the ocean for a man with a personal wealth estimated at $2.2 billion.
Look, a beautiful burnt rock.
But his fascination with space extends beyond his meteorite collection.
Moon Express. Thank you.
I saw another billionaire there. I think that guy. Is that the 2045 guy? No. Is it?
Dmitry Itzvov?
Yeah.
It might be. It's been 3 years.
It kind of looks like him. It might not be. I'm not sure.
At a compound in Mountain View, California, internet billionaire Naveen Jain is hatching a plan that could make him the world's first trillionaire.
Naveen, good to see you, my friend. Good. So Naveen, the team is working hard, as it usually is.
Of course.
Remember, on the left we have our systems engineering team doing all the mechanical design of the lander.
Yes.
And on the right, we're doing all the avionics, so micro-miniaturizing all of the electronics that goes into landing, because you can't land without software. So we have our guidance, navigation, and control team working in all the software. So we're going to land on the moon somewhere around here, close to where the Apollo spacecraft landed at the equator.
How did you pick that area?
Well, first of all, it's on the near side, so it's easily accessible from Earth. It's an area, the dark area are actually regions of lava plains, so they're not mountainous.
Not so long ago, it was the Soviet and America's superpowers that were locked in a race to land on the moon. Now it's Bob and Naveen who are leading the competition to mine precious metals from its surface.
Are we still on track to land on the moon by 2015?
We're still on track, Naveen.
Initially, we thought the mission was going to cost us about $100 million. Do you think we can bring the cost down to, say, $50 to $60 million now?
Yeah, even less. Yeah,
Even less?
I think the first mission will be under 50, and subsequent missions may be under 40.
When would we be able to tell your honey?
I think he said land on the moon by 2015, so I don't think they made it there. So we might want to get an update from him on what happened.
Yes, I agree.
That I want to take you to the moon.
You know, he must be in some kind of communication with Elon Musk. You think, because they're both so into, going into outer space. Elon Musk wants to colonize Mars. Naveen wants to go to the moon. You'd think there'd be some kind of dialogue there and some kind of partnership. Do you think?
Yeah, a lot of these super wealthy entrepreneur Silicon Valley people are super competitive and stuff. So, you could say, like, why aren't Richard Branson and Virgin and Blue Origin and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and SpaceX all working together? And I think the real answer from me investigating this pretty thoroughly over many years is that they all just have different visions and different egos and different plans, different motivations. Like, for example, Elon Musk really wants to get to Mars. His motivation is that he wants to get to Mars because, not just because he wants to go to Mars, because he thinks it's very important that we become a spacefaring civilization and that we set up a colonization on Mars. Now, I don't know why not the moon, because it'd be easier to just go to the moon. But Elon Musk wants to get another civilization on Mars so that in case we have an asteroid or some type of horrible natural disaster on this planet, which we've had many of them, we've had 5 major disasters that have wiped off almost all of the species on this planet that are well documented, that we wouldn't lose the human species and that we wouldn't lose all of our intelligence and our culture. So that's in case people don't realize, because a lot of people throw hate at Elon Musk and say, oh, why are you trying to get to Mars? We have so many problems here, which I agree with that to a certain extent. I want him to focus on solving aging first, personally. But that's his motivation, in case people don't know. Whereas like Jeff Bezos, he has other motivations for Blue Origin. And they're not even trying to get outside of the atmosphere right now, Blue Origin. They're doing other things. So it's a good question, though, Roen, and we should add that to the list of things to ask Naveen.
Definitely.
10 years.
10 years.
Not only will it be a honeymoon, but I can take my honey to the moon, and I think that'll be the killer.
If you can do that, that's real business. If we can go to the moon for $50 million and the cost comes down to 20, and we're able to bring back the things worth $500 billion, I don't care what anybody says, that's a great business. Somebody is going to create a $1 trillion industry in space, and we sure hope it's us. When you tell somebody what you're doing and they don't think it's a crazy idea, then you're thinking too small. So when you walk up to a party and people say, what do you...
So I've watched so many Naveen Jain videos over the years. I probably watched over 100 hours of videos on Naveen Jain on YouTube over the last 5-6 years or so. I watched a lot in 2018 and early 2019, leading up to when I purchased Viome, and I was talking with him, about a year ago. And so I've heard him say that. That's one of his taglines. So he might say that in their interview. Mm-hmm. And just in case anybody's zoned out or anything, what he said is that if you tell somebody your idea and they don't think it's crazy, then you're thinking too small. And that is really powerful for me, and it's one thing that's really driven me to now, quit my job at LinkedIn, Microsoft, getting paid quite a bit of money with really good benefits, to kind of have a vow of poverty here for a certain time period. Our family's doing fine. We're living in a nice home, eating good food. Things are fine because I've saved up money and been smart, but no income, because I'm working on the largest problem on the planet, but also the most important problem on the planet. Trying to slow, stop, and even, dare I say, reverse aging. So if you're not, if you tell somebody your idea and they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, that sounds easy, then maybe you should think about doing something more challenging, because there is a huge benefit if you can actually solve a big problem that most people think is impossible. Huge benefit, not only for the world, but also potentially financially for you as well. So sorry, I just wanted to make sure people were aware of that.
Yeah, and in this documentary, it shows that he totally raised his children with this mindset, right? It's like both of his kids are just super these humanitarians wanting to solve huge problems. I remember his son in this documentary said something very similar, like, if you're solving big problems, you're going to be making a lot of money for solving big, huge problems that help so many people. So
yep, hair on fire problems.
Right. I've never heard that expression, hair on fire problems.
Yeah, Cedric Dahl is a guy that I watch on YouTube, CEDRIC, last name DAHL. I watched a lot of his cryptocurrency content, but I also just think he's a smart guy. Maybe I can get him on at some point, do a collab. And that's what he says all the time. You got to solve hair on fire problems, or else, what are you doing? It's not that big of a deal. So this is the filter that I go through in my brain when people bring me business ideas and opportunities and things. I'm like, is this a hair on fire problem? Is this something that's going to scale? Is this something that's important? Or is this just some little business dinky idea? For example, creating a social network like Facebook, 20 years ago, 17 years ago in 2003 when it was founded, and having that potentially not only be a social network, but it can just keep growing and growing and growing. Mark Zuckerberg's vision since, when he was first creating it, he was in his Harvard dorm room. But after a couple of years, he started thinking seriously, oh my gosh, we could take over the whole internet potentially, And of course, that's still incredibly unlikely, and most governments won't let that happen, and I don't want that to happen. I think that's a dystopian future. But the point is that there's no reason why Facebook at this point can't just keep growing and growing and growing. I mean, look at all the products and services they're continuing to. They're trying to become a cryptocurrency, a currency. They have Facebook Marketplace, Oculus Rift. Now they have their new video conference, features that they've just added into WhatsApp and Instagram, which of course are subsidiaries of Facebook. There's live streaming now on Facebook and Instagram as well too. It's just they can just keep building and iterating. There's no limit really to like what they can build on the internet.
Speaking of Facebook, make sure everyone should follow the Longevity Facebook channel. We already got over 22,000 likes on it.
Yeah, our longevity page. Yeah, I was confused about this for a while. So on Facebook, there's pages, and then there are groups, and we have a longevity page.
Yes.
And yeah, I'll put the link into the chat right now. I'll find that and put it in there for everybody.
Totally. Alrighty, let's finish this
You
up.
do? Well, I mine the moon. Well, that's crazy. Well, I'm thinking big. Right. What do you do? Well, are you writing an app for iPhone?
How do you become a billionaire? Perhaps some of the
I
answers.
love the idea of thinking big. It reminds me of this quote. I'm probably paraphrasing this, so I'll probably get it a little inaccurate, but it's this. It's like the greater danger for most of us is setting our goals too small and achieving them. It's not setting our goals too big and missing them. It's setting them too small and getting our goals. We're achieving our small goals, and it's kind of pathetic. Like, let's set ourselves big goals, so big, and even if we fail, it's like at least we tried. It's like,
yeah, you're exactly correct, Roen. And a couple of things that come to mind on that is, PayPal, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Reid Hoffman, others, a few other people, the PayPal Mafia, as they're known now. A lot of people don't realize this or maybe forget this here in 2020. PayPal was meant to become a currency that would compete with the United States dollar and other fiat currencies around the world. They failed miserably at that and turned into more of like kind of what was like a bank, which is what they were trying to disrupt. And they're not a bank, they're more of a financial services type company, but they're integrated with banks, and they're solving a lot of problems and have solved problems. And for those who don't know, PayPal acquired Venmo a few years ago, so they've done well. So Peter Thiel will openly say, hey, we failed miserably at that, but while failing, I became a billionaire, and my other co-founders became worth, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then Reid Hoffman went on to found LinkedIn in 2003 and became a multi-billionaire, and now he's on the board of Microsoft. And the founders of YouTube came from the PayPal Mafia. A lot of people don't know that. The founders of Yelp came from PayPal. Elon Musk was part of X.com, and Peter Thiel saw Elon Musk at X.com across the street there in Palo Alto, California, and was like, this dude is super smart and super competitive. I don't want to compete with this dude. Let's merge with him, is basically what Peter Thiel convinced the rest of the PayPal team to do. So they merged with X.com, and then they kept the PayPal brand. And now, of course, Elon Musk has founded SpaceX and then been a co-founder of Tesla. A lot of people say he's not, but that's not true. The couple guys founded Tesla, and then they brought Elon Musk on as their chairman and largest shareholder and investor. And Elon Musk said that I'll only become an investor in Tesla if I'm also a co-founder. So Elon Musk is a legitimate co-founder of Tesla. So, for us, Roen, maybe we never cure aging. Maybe we never completely solve the aging problem. But maybe, just maybe, on our quest to do this, we end up living a few hundred or a few thousand years, while other people who aren't focusing on this and don't take this seriously, die off younger from chronic diseases that we know are easily avoidable and stuff. And that might be how it works out, and that would be unfortunate for those people. But we might get some real benefit from this, even if it's not eternal life, even if it's not millions or billions of years. So we'll see. That's what we're hoping for. Obviously, that's what I want.
Yes, it would be very unfortunate for us, even if we only lived 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years. For me, it'd be very unfortunate.
Yeah, it would be unfortunate, but I think you and I have had this conversation.
I am so, when it comes to life, I'm like the most greediest person. I'm like, give me everything. I want eternity.
Give me. Yeah, I hear you. All right, should we get back to watching the doc?
I found the real quote that I was talking about. Oh my gosh, The Rock is in our live stream for some weird reason right now. I did not plan for that, but I literally have The Rock
Where's our leader
from
at
a
this
recent
time?
video I was
This
watching on
time
YouTube.
when our
Now
country
he's in our live
is
stream. But
down
anyways,
on its
the
knees,
quote is
begging,
the
pleading,
greater danger for most of us
hurt, angry,
lies not in setting our aim too high
frustrated, in
and
pain,
falling short, but in
begging
setting our
and
aim
pleading with
too
its
low
arms out.
and achieving our mark. And that was by Michelangelo.
just
That's the
wanting
quote.
to be heard,
Michelangelo.
Yeah.
begging and
And
pleading
you know,
and praying.
it's pretty wise for a Ninja
change.
Turtle to say something like that, right? Especially the orange one, who was more the California, like, you know, Calabunga dude,
Who's
you
gonna
know,
step
right?
up to our country.
Yes.
down.
Yes, the
And
turtle said it.
It's gonna stand up.
Right.
Stand up with
That's
me.
funny.
I was in the
Stand up
Vatican
with
in
me,
2018
because
with
I
my
got
wife,
you.
and we saw a lot of his work
I got you.
there.
Got you.
I really
Here,
don't like
I'm
supporting the
listening to you.
Vatican because I think they're a criminal organization,
You
but
have my word that I'm gonna
it
do
just
everything in
it's
my
it's so
power
crazy
until my dying day,
to
my
see
last
all
breath,
that art and the
to do
culture
everything
there,
I
and
can
to see these people how they clearly have,
create the
have
change
been
that
ruling
is
for
needed to
hundreds,
normalize
thousands of
equality,
years.
because
So I didn't really like paying
lives
them money.
matter.
In a way, I was kind of like part of the problem, which is kind of
Where are
makes
you?
me feel gross, but it was a pretty cool
That
experience to
same
see some of that art. I'm a
compassionate
lover of
leader
art and
who
culture and
has to
history.
come back
Me too.
and
Who's your favorite
readdress
artist?
the country, to give important
That's
context,
difficult.
to
I
give,
can't say I have a
to
favorite.
give
Leonardo da
important
Vinci,
perspective
Picasso,
on the
very,
comments that were
very
just made. Of course, all
fascinating.
lives
I
matter.
mean, the work that Michelangelo
Every
did will
single
just
one.
blow you away
All
just
lives
looking at
matter,
it. But
because we,
as
as
impressive as he
Americans, we
was,
believe
when we
in
traveled Europe in
inclusivity, we believe in
2018,
acceptance,
I
we
was in the
believe in human
Louvre in
rights,
Paris
we
in
believe in
2010 as
equality
well.
for
Just
all.
looking at all
That's
that
what we believe in.
incredible
So of
art,
course
you're
all
just
lives
blown
matter.
away.
But in this
There's
moment
so
right
many.
now,
There's
this
so many
defining,
artists that were
pivotal,
incredible that I have no
explosive
idea what their
moment
names
where
are.
our country is down on
We're
its
just not in
knees.
that time
The
anymore.
floorboards
There's
of our
not
country are
people
becoming
like
unhinged
doing
in this moment.
our greatest minds
We
are not
must say the
painting
words.
on canvases.
Black
They are
lives
writing software
matter.
code and stuff like that, which is good for us. This is how we're going to hopefully like cure aging, maybe through AGI and other things. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Where are you?
All
This
right.
can be found by watching Naveen go about his strict daily
Where are you?
routine.
Because
I wake up about 4:30 and 5, and between 5 and 5:15, I am working on email, catching up on news, looking at the blogs, looking at the different opinions. Because people just don't sleep. I mean, they're working 24/7. Somewhere around the world, people are awake and working. So you're always constantly being bombarded with request, information, or just sometimes news. And so in the morning, I wake up and I, take care of my.
Ugh. YouTube long streaming problems. You'd never believe it, but I think for the last like minute or something, ever since I mentioned The Rock, he's literally been talking in the background. Like there's been The Rock talking. This is funny, just so everyone sees the kind of problems you get live streaming. This is hilarious.
Like his actual
mind.
audio.
Yeah, his audio's been like talking for the last like minute or two. I think. All right.
And then after that, I work out, and that's taking care of my body. And then I do meditate before I go to work, so that takes care of my soul. You know, business is like a war. You have to be completely prepared. And unless you have mind, body, and soul really all ready for it, you just can't fight that battle. I do work very, very long hours, and I realize there is really no substitute. I mean, it doesn't matter how smart you are, there's just no substitute for hard work. If you want to succeed in life, you have to be absolute.
I think that's so true what he just said there, and it also it's an important message for all those people who talk about the law of attraction. You know, law of attraction. This, it's like, no, you actually need to put in the work. You can't just like have positive mindset and have everything just come to you, right?
Well, I think the law of attraction has been misunderstood and kind of hijacked by some people. I've watched the movie The Secret and I've read the book, and I think a lot of people misinterpret the message. To me, the law of attraction is legitimate. It's just you're not just going to like think about something and it will be true. You have to put things into action, and you have to work hard. And I'm really glad you paused there, Roen. I didn't want to pause so much, but it's such a powerful message there. He is a very hard worker, and he is every time I've messaged him, he's replied like pretty quickly. So even a billionaire at, I believe he's 60 years old, and CEO and founder of Biome, and doing all these different things. He's still, you know, running his own life and his own business. No secretary, no assistant, no executive assistant setting meetings for him. It's funny, some of the people I've interviewed have had executive assistants setting meetings, but he himself is just messaging me right back, very transparent, and I'm really excited for us to interview him.
Me too. He has good taste in cars too. Look, this is pretty freaking rad right here.
It's the Batmobile, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
At your best. And the only way to be absolutely at the best is to give it 100% of yourself. This is my commuter car, so I drive it every day to work. Most people buy a car and keep it in the garage. I drive them every day.
A lot of people assume that entrepreneurs take chances. Is that true?
Not true at all. In fact, entrepreneurs actually hate risk. Only
Press
play
pause,
the
Roen.
game that you can win.
That was interesting when he said that. Like, entrepreneurs hate risk. Only play the game that you can win. That was pretty profound, I thought.
Super profound, and that's another thing a lot of people misinterpret. People look at somebody like Elon Musk and be like, "You're crazy, like what are you doing?" and this and that. Or, you know, Elon Musk might not be the best example right now, because when he founded SpaceX and Tesla, he said he gave each of them maybe a 10% chance of succeeding. You know, he did them because he thought they were so important. So that's a little different there. But smart entrepreneurs, you know, they're looking at things differently. They have different data. They have different skill sets than most people, and they kind of piece the puzzle together. So something that might seem very risky to most people just isn't as risky to them. Risk is not all equal, you know, like to everybody. It's based off complex things that hopefully I've just kind of described here. So something that might seem very risky to most people just isn't as risky to people who are more competent and intelligent and well-versed and educated in a particular subject matter, right?
Exactly.
Making money is a byproduct of doing things that you really enjoy doing. It is never a goal in itself. And it's like having sex and orgasm. You have to enjoy the process and not focus on the end goal. People actually who focus on end goal, like getting an orgasm, never get one.
Following Naveen around on a typical working day, it's obvious that his big ideas attract other big ideas, and his interests stretch way beyond the information e-commerce world in which he's built his fortune.
We're in the midst of building this. We're in the, you know, part of it's being built right here in Seattle. Hopefully by the end of this year, it's all going to get put together, and we're in flight testing.
So how many people, two per?
Yeah, it's pilot, astronaut, and you.
Okay.
We call it the right stuff experience.
For Naveen, the billionaire formula is simple.
What makes a successful person? They go out and solve big problems. So you know how to make $1 billion? You solve a $10 billion problem.
Having already made his billions, he now unashamedly wants to use his business brain.
I love just the simple way of thinking about that. You know, it's so simple. You know, when you phrase it that way, when you think about it that way, just solve huge problems where people need that problem to be solved, and you are going to make money from that, right?
It's really that simple. I really wish that most people could understand how simple it is, you know? So the way that Naval Ravikant says it, which I love Naval Ravikant, and I'm a huge fan and follower of him, mainly on Twitter, and now he's podcast on the YouTube, is Naval said, if you are solving a problem that people inherently want to be solved, but don't know yet that they actually want that, then you're just inherently going to make money if it's something that hasn't been solved yet, right?
Like
So,
aging. If you solve aging, how much money? I mean, just think about that. The magnitude of that problem, killing like 110,000 people a day. Just solving that. How much money you're going to make. Not to mention how loved you're going to be. How much people are going to feel that they owe you your life. You're like the ultimate Schindler at that point. You've saved not just 1,000 lives, but like millions and millions and millions of future lives. And it's just like insane to think about.
Yeah, 100%. And it's, yeah, if you even make an impact on that, it's going to be a lot of money, and appreciative for people will be appreciative for you for that as well.
Yes.
To change our world.
Let's focus on education, healthcare, energy, shortage of water, shortage of food, and I'm going to tell you how innovation and entrepreneurship can solve each of these problems. Let's look at education. Imagine if you are able to use a $25 tablet and build some type of a game that's more effective than a private tutor, and it's more addictive than the most addictive video game. Think about it, one day a child is going to come to the mother and say, Mom, can I just play one more hour of math? Because I enjoy it so much.
Naveen has a knack of putting people under his spell, making his mission to solve some of mankind's biggest problems seem plausible in space and...
I really like his ideas about integrating education into like video game format. Like,
yes,
that's so important in our world when you think about all these kids just obsessed with video games. Like, why not make them educational? Imagine like these games where there's dialogue in the games. There's such a place there where you can add education into that dialogue. I've always like wanted games where it's like I can learn something at the same time as having fun and going on all these little quests inside the game, but just making it super educational. That would be awesome.
I completely agree, Roen, and kind of look at what we're doing right now, man. We're live streaming, and I'm actually looking down right now. I'm holding up my phone. I'm tweeting the link to this live stream we're on right now, so that hopefully other people can, see this and join. But yeah, I mean, we're live streaming right now. This is a game. This is fun. People can join. You can ask your questions. We'll reply. This is kind of newer technology, and it's going to get cooler and cooler and cooler. So. Yeah, it's so important. Education in general needs to change. Before I quit my job at LinkedIn, which is owned by Microsoft a little over 2 years ago, in February 2018, I was selling e-learning for them for 3 years. So I actually know quite a bit about e-learning and the challenges and what's going to be kind of on the forefront of e-learning. Before that, I was at a video conference company, so I actually know a decent amount about video conferencing from a technical standpoint and also from a business standpoint. Of course, that's like 5 years outdated now because I left my company Video in 2015. So in any event, it is really important that we disrupt the education system and get kids to just have fun, man. Learning life, it's all supposed to be fun. I don't know about you guys, but school pretty much sucked for me for the most time. I was a class clown just because I wanted to have fun. And I was like, what is all this nonsense you guys are teaching me? This is worthless. And by the time I was in high school, I was like, there's freaking Yahoo for this. And then, by the time I was in college, I was like, there's Google. Why are you guys teaching me all this rote memory nonsense that I can just Google? And I can't imagine going to school nowadays for kids if they're just teaching you. School should be teaching you how to think, not what to think. It should be teaching you critical thinking. And if it's not teaching you that, just walk out the door, because they're just wasting your time and taking your money if you're in college. And if you're stuck, in high school or younger, then I'd just say, I don't know, do the best you can to get good grades and I don't know, it's tough. I don't know what
schools should just be like, nowadays with the internet, since you can learn anything you want on the internet, you can go down a multitude of different rabbit holes. Schools should be like luring kids in, like giving ideas of what they could study, like just the basics of like, oh, you could study this, ooh, wouldn't that be interesting? Oh, you can go down the rabbit hole on YouTube about this topic, or this, wouldn't that be interesting to learn about? And so just more exposing the kids to like all the different things, just so they see all the different possibilities of things they could learn about. Like, that to me seems like a valuable thing a school could do.
Maybe we should start our own school, Roen, and I'm not even joking. Like, maybe one of our business models is, as we're scaling, we can do online classes where we're in a virtual room here on Skype, and we have people join, And we can't just do all this stuff for free, but maybe we can have people join for half hour at a time, for a certain fee or something. We can teach them like how to think about longevity, because that's really what we focus on and what we have a lot of value with. And teaching people how to think is way more important than telling them what to think. I try not to tell people what to think. I tell people like how I think and what I think about something, but I like to just paint a picture for people and let them figure it out on their own, or figure out what they want to believe. Be careful of anybody who's telling you what to believe. That's what authoritarian figures like to do, like our governments and people like that who are in power. They love to tell you this is what you should believe and this is it. And you hear me say this quote all the time, Roen. They must find it funny, those who take authority as truth rather than truth as authority. I'm only interested in truth. I don't care about where it comes from. Now, normally I learn truth from more credible people. This is why we're watching Naveen Jain right now. He has a proven track record of being a credible person. But it doesn't mean that I can't find, valuable information from some random person walking down the street. It's just not as likely to find like Easter eggs of valuable information from a random person compared to like, people with solid track records on the internet,
Absolutely.
And on Earth.
What if we can build an artificial intelligence system that can be used by a village girl? She'll be able to go door to door and able to diagnose the diseases where there are no healthcare, there's no hospitals, there are no doctors.
These are big ideas that could turn a big profit, but some of them seem a bit far-fetched.
What if we take a 3D printer on the moon and somebody can go out and send the DNA of a bacteria or a virus and we print it right there and leave it on the moon and watch it grow?
These ideas, they're a bit out there, aren't they?
Now, they kind of like took this little segment, they kind of took it out of I bet you anything, if Naveen had a better or longer chance to explain that concept, it would like make perfect sense. And like they just took a little small fragment there to try to make them seem a little weird. And what's that idea about? But right?
Yeah, I would say so, Roen. And I would also say that from my experience as I get older, and now that we are dabbling in media and working with people who've done documentaries, we're going to be interviewing Daniel Solinger soon, who's the documentary filmmaker of Immortality or Bust documentary that's coming out on Amazon June 23rd, 2020. Have we secured a date with Daniel yet to do the live stream to promote that?
No, we still need to do that.
Okay. We will be interviewing Daniel Solinger soon. We're figuring out the date for the documentary, as I just stated there. But as I personally, have become more educated and experienced on these things, what I've realized is that a lot of times when Roen, you have people making a documentary about you, and you're in the Immortality or Bust documentary I just referenced. What you'll see is that a lot of times these documentary filmmakers, you sign a contract, they show up, they record you, and then they kind of edit it in any way that they want, so they can kind of tell the story that they want. I've known Hollywood producers. I had a roommate of mine, a really nice girl named Alexis, in 2009 and 10. She was friends with the guy who came up to visit with us, who was in Hollywood making reality TV from like the very beginning of reality TV around like the late 90s, early 2000s. He had been a producer for over 10 years, and he just told me straight up, he was like, on all these shows with all these people, literally all the food tables and everything that we have on set, they're all laced with alcohol. We have like booze there for them. We want them to get drunk because it creates more drama, and then we'll edit them out of context. They're storytelling, and there's better storytelling for these stupid shows on reality TV when there's drama. So,
and I think they probably they pay people to do certain things on those shows, right? They act like it's reality, but they're telling people they're guiding them what to do, and they're saying, "Hey, do this," or we're taking you off the show. You better do this and that, right?
Yes, of course. Producers have way more power than people think, especially on these silly shows like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. These are nobodies who are on this show, and yeah, it's like kind of like play ball or you're out of here,
Yeah.
And leave it on the moon and watch it grow.
These ideas, they're a bit
But actually, I think what he's talking about there is legitimate. I think he's talking about seeding life on another planet, essentially, like kind of becoming gods ourselves, and just let's seed life on this planet, watch it grow, like basically start an evolutionary process or whatever on a different planet. Like a lot of people have hypothesized that that's what's happened here on this planet. We've been seeded by, other life forms in an extraterrestrial race or something.
Yep, I've watched my fair share of Ancient Aliens and other cool documentaries and stuff on the internet. And the movie Prometheus that came out in, I think, 2012, I believe, is a great movie. And, the elites and other cultures have been talking about this for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So it's not really a new idea. And to me, it's very plausible. I know to other people, they might think it sounds crazy. But, think about the numbers. There's 13.8 billion years that this universe apparently has been around since the Big Bang, and the universe is so massive. There's hundreds of billions of stars in our own galaxy, and there's hundreds of billions of galaxies. I mean, that's just hard to even fathom. It wouldn't be very difficult for a species to become intelligent over billions and billions of years, and then let's say they maybe seeded us humans 200,000 years ago. That's nothing compared to 13.8 billion. So with just the math and the logic that I just outlined, it shouldn't be difficult for people to think that this is possible. Now, whether it is possible or not, whether it is true or not, that I don't think anybody knows, right?
I agree. Very possible. Let's be agnostic about it,
Yep.
I agree.
Out there, aren't they, Naveen? Don't people think you're just a bit mad?
Well, the point is that the reason they think it's mad, because they don't know it's already happening. The things that used to be science fiction are now becoming science reality.
Naveen's relentless enthusiasm, obsessive work ethic, and unquestionable self-belief are some of the building blocks of how to be a billionaire. And it turns out these qualities were forged in an intriguing childhood. Naveen is a father of 3 who runs 4 companies and has his own space program. How do his children live up to that?
My oldest, when he was very young, one day he came to me and said, "You know what, Dad? I'm going to make more money than you ever did." I actually sat him down and I said, surprising you think of success in that way. Success is not about how much money you're going to have. Success is about how many lives you'll be able to improve. And if you really want to be more successful than I am, go out and improve more people's lives than I'm able to do in my lifetime. And that's what's going to make me proud of you. And he said,
"Surprise that, Roen."
I think it's time for a clap. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
What
Slow.
a humanitarian, yeah.
Slow clap.
Not
right?
a slow clap. Let's do it. I mean, I'm into a enthusiastic fast clap for that. That's
Yeah,
real.
well, the slow clap leads to the fast clap. But yeah, I mean, it's so true, man. Like, we're doing pretty much thankless work right now, Roen, what we're doing. But you know what? It just is what it is, right? And if nobody's recognizing the work that people like you and I and Max and Alex and so many other people, I work with Keith Cometto. It's very impressive, everything he's accomplished. And he works very hard. Every single moment he's awake, pretty much, he's working on to solve this problem. All these scientists I've interviewed, most of them are just working tirelessly, countless hours. Bill Andrews has become a friend of mine. That man's been trying to cure aging since he was 10 years old. I think he's in his late 60s now. And I can tell you from developing better and better relationships with these people, this is what they're thinking about all the time. Bill Andrews is dreaming about this stuff, So this is the most important problem on the planet, and nobody's really thanking us or paying us anything yet. But if we keep working, I think opportunities will come, and there's money to be made. Maybe we'll start selling supplements and T-shirts and things like that. We need to sustain ourselves, so that's important. But yeah, very, very well said there by Naveen. This is what I don't get up every day and think of like how am I gonna make money? How am I gonna become a billionaire? I think, how am I gonna solve aging? And if we do that, money will come for sure.
Yes. And if other people are working on solving other big problems, even if they're not directly related to aging, just solving any problem that's affecting human beings and causing massive amount of suffering or whatever, it actually helps the aging cause, because if there's less other huge problems distracting everyone, then people will start to focus more on aging, right? It's like if there's like horrible chaos going on everywhere and just like people can't eat and there's just all these horrible problems where humans are suffering, then it makes it harder for people to pay attention to aging. If we could just, we want to solve aging like right now, but if other people solve other problems first, then there's more attention eventually that'll trickle down to aging. So I think all humanitarian causes essentially help our cause in a way.
I completely agree with that, and just kind of to piggyback on that as well, I think that the work that we're doing to publicize the facts about aging and just our general message is very important, so that people can learn how big of a problem this is. I just think that most people on the planet have no idea that aging is the biggest problem on the planet, defined by the fact that it's killing the most people on this planet by far. And when I've interviewed a lot of these longevity scientists, and when we just interviewed Vera, and since Roen, we've been doing interviews together with Max and Alex, these scientists in general are very appreciative of the work that I've done and that our team is now doing, because they recognize how important it is. And, it's not really their expertise. Most of these scientists we interview are not social media savvy, they're not experts, and they don't have time to be. They're doing very important work, and they travel a lot to go to conferences and all sorts of things. So this is work that we need to be doing, and when we're working our ass off like every day, all day to do this, and we know how hard it is to build these systems that we've been building and social media pages and followings and things. So this is an arduous enough task in itself. We'll let the scientists be scientists, and we will try and promote them and their work and try to get funding for their work in any way we can, whether it's the government, private enterprise, I don't care. I'm agnostic to that. I just want more money to be raised to solve the aging problem.
Right on. Exactly.
I was 6 years old when Dad started his first company, and at the age of 7, he was taking me on the road with him. And then when I got a little older, like 10, 11, he would start randomly throwing me on stage with him in the middle of a talk. He'd be like, hey, why don't you come up and give your thoughts? And you really had no choice but to get up there and say what you thought. So it was a really interesting way to learn by fire, right?
When he's 16, he calls me and he said, Dad, I've been meeting lots of my friends who are at MIT and Harvard and Princeton. What if I brought the great mentors that you had for me, helping these young kids? If I could do that around the world, I'll be able to improve more people's life than you did. Would that make you proud? And I said, yes. And guess what? That's when he started Kairos Society. And today it's the world's largest entrepreneurial society.
America needs to reinvent our economy. We need to refocus our entire national efforts on young entrepreneurs. How can we be pioneers that move the world forward?
Naveen seems to be nurturing his children on a predetermined path to success. His 16-year-old son Neil is the youngest student ever to attend the Singularity University in the Silicon Valley.
Entrepreneurship is just kind of like a way of life, really. You can't turn it off.
And his 19-year-old daughter Priyanka, who is studying at Stanford University in California, is making her mark in the world of social philanthropy.
She graduated.
18 years of my life.
She what?
She graduated from Stanford. I believe this documentary was made in like 2013 or something. It was uploaded in 2015 to YouTube, but I think this was like a re-upload or something like that. I think I saw this documentary in 2017. So yeah, she graduated from Stanford.
All right. That's pretty impressive.
Taking for granted everything that I have. A great family, parents, mentors, an education, good health. Things that millions and millions of girls around the world live without.
My accomplishments in this world will never be measured by what I do. It will be actually measured by what our children are able to do.
Naveen's boys have flown in from California for a rare opportunity to hang out with their dad.
Well, there comes my rock star there, and he's on the phone. Being an entrepreneur is just a full-time job, 7 days a week, 24/7. All right, let's go. I love taking a speedboat out on a full throttle. Sometimes you just got to let the stress out.
Just want to give you a heads up that we pushed an updated build. It's, obviously it's still...
You want them to work hard, and sometimes you want them to just slow down a bit, but it's never a balance. He saw me do the same thing.
When the three of them get together, the conversation rarely strays from business and finding ways to change the world.
We always talking about business. Either he's talking about my business or I'm talking about his business.
If you're solving problems, you're doing good in the world. And if you're doing good and you're solving problems in the world, you're gonna make a shit ton of money.
That's the part I was talking about. Yeah, he's really
Yeah. And Roen, can I just say, man, I have a kid now, and I'm going to do everything to make my kid just a superhuman, just a freaking entrepreneur, problem solver. At the end of the day, I consider myself a problem solver. I want to solve problems. And that's why I've created, this little brand solving the aging problem, because I just kind of like that ring. It's not saying aging is a disease or a medical problem or whatever. It's just a problem. Like, let's stop all this petty infighting about is aging a disease or a medical problem, like whatever. I think it's a disease for political reasons so that we can get more funding. Forget science and what you want to call it. It's a problem. It's a huge problem. Let's just solve the human aging problem, right?
Yep. Couldn't agree more. I mean, in fact, like one of my favorite characters, Tinkerbell. One of the reasons I like Tinkerbell is because one of her philosophies is like she fixes things. So in the fairy universe, the Disney's fairy universe, Tinkerbell is called a Tinker Fairy. And Tinker Fairies, their whole thing is solving problems and fixing things. Like she goes and looks for lost things and puts together, she makes little trinkets and stuff to solve problems. That's literally what she does. So yeah, that's what life's about. That's what life's about, solving problems.
Yeah, Roen, the more that I get to know you and we relationship build, it's funny how all these little things about you that I've once thought were kind of weird or this or that, it's like, oh, there's actually like really good explanations behind this. Like last night during our live stream with Vera, I found out that, you like peanut butter. I actually really like peanut butter too, but there's some really good science behind it apparently from Dr. Rhonda Patrick about peanut butter, which is one reason you like peanut butter even more, right?
Yes. It's actually really high in resveratrol too, which is commonly talked about. Yes. So just like grapes, peanuts have even more resveratrol than like wine, for instance. People talk about, wine for resveratrol. Peanuts have more of it.
What about almond butter? I really like almond butter and cashew butter.
Almond butter and cashew butter are great, but they're no peanut butter. They don't have the resveratrol. Peanut butter that's unique to peanuts as far as a nut and seed.
Well, I get my peanut butter organic Kirkland from Costco. Get it for a pretty good price, and I eat pretty decent amount of peanut butter. Probably not as much as you. I'm never going to try and compete and get peanut butter competition with you.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're eating it. That's very important. I think that's excellent. You get my thumbs up on that.
Awesome.
Solve a problem that affects 1 billion people, and even if you only got $1 out of each of those people, you'd still make $1 billion.
Without doubt, the kids are a chip off the old block. But is their entrepreneurialism purely down to their privileged upbringing, or is it in their blood? Maybe the answer lies in Naveen's past.
I grew up in India, and we were very, very poor. And we didn't have to be poor. My father had a pretty decent job in the government. He was a civil engineer, overseer, responsible for building government buildings. India is extremely corrupt society. My dad, in his humble wisdom, decided that he wants to be an honest man. He's just not going to take a bribe. Guess what happens? In government, you never get fired. You get transferred. Every 6-9 months, that son of a bitch has to go. He's not taking money. Find somebody who takes money. So we go to the most rural areas, and most of our education was done in places where there are no tables, no chairs, no whiteboard. You sat on the floor, you wrote on the floor. And despite all that, my sister went on to do a postdoctorate in applied mathematics. My brother has a PhD in computer science and a PhD in statistics. And I'm the least educated person with a degree in engineering from IIT and MBA. That is the kind of value system that constantly governs my life. Always looking back and saying the humble background that you come from and how much you have achieved.
Dreams.
Humility is a sure sign of knowing when somebody has been successful. Because if you still have an iota of arrogance left in you, then you're still trying to prove something to yourself or someone else. That means you're still not successful.
I think all on.
I really liked that point too in particular. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's definitely a humble person. And I thought this documentary was a lot longer. Maybe this is just one little clip from the fuller episode, I think. Because there's Dmitry Itskov, the...
Oh, okay. I never saw the full version. I only saw this clip.
Well, and that's beautiful. So, by the way, Naveen Jain lives in the greater Seattle area. And that's, I think, Mount Olympus, or whatever the mountain is. I was just in Seattle last July, about 11 months ago, to interview Liz Parrish on July 10th at her home. She's on Bainbridge Island across the bay there from Seattle. And we saw that mountain there, whatever it is. I think it's Mount Olympus, but somebody can fact check me or Google that. In any event, it is breathtaking. You can see it often. It is just massive. You can see it from like everywhere. Driving on the freeway, it's just, it's incredible. And the Seattle area is very beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I was right. It is Dmitry Iskov. Why did he say his last name?
Was it Itskov?
Iskov. Speaking of Liz Parrish, did you know she spoke with the Dalai Lama? There's a video of Liz Parrish talking to the Dalai Lama. It's pretty cool. I saw that recently.
Yeah, and BBC did a little documentary on her that has over 1 million views. So that's her most viewed video that I could ever find on YouTube. So, yeah, we should interview Liz on longevity. We should reach out to I can
definitely.
There's so many people. I'll reach out to Bill Andrews. Liz Parrish. We should get Aubrey de Grey, George Church, David Sinclair. I'll reach out to people and see if we can start getting some high-profile interviews.
Definitely. All right. Any other ideas for Naveen Jain videos we should watch?
Oh, man, there's tons of good stuff. Both of his videos on impact theory with Tom Bilyeu are really good. Mm-hmm. I've seen those, though. I'd love to watch something newer that I haven't seen.
Let's watch something new.
Let's watch something specifically on the microbiome, on Viome, because that's what I think we're going to be talking about.
Mm-hmm. How Viome works. Have you seen that one?
Let's watch that one. It's 13 minutes. That'd be perfect.
Perfect. 13. I like that number, 13. Let's see here.
What's up, everyone? We are back with Naveen Jain. We're going to be talking about the personalized action plans that we get from Viome, from understanding our gut ecosystem, and also what we can do with all this data.
Yes. So it's very interesting is that, we talked about the technology, what is metatranscriptomics, then we talked about how we can actually make illness optional. And now we're going to talk about actually how we make recommendations that are based on your personalized gut ecosystem. Right? So as you can understand that Viome is the only company that does a functional microbiome test. So every company is either doing a 16S, we talked about completely useless stuff, metagenomics stuff that doesn't tell you what the microbes are doing. And what you really need is the metatranscriptomics technology that tells you what is going on. Once we know what is going on, what we do is now there are three things. We want to make sure that you are able to produce lot of the stuff that your body needs, the good nutrients, such as short chain fatty acids, the vitamin K and the vitamin B, and all the enzymes and peptides that your body needs. And you want to minimize and eliminate the stuff that is really harmful to your body, such as lipopolysaccharides and the other things that are causing inflammation. And really that is the key of keeping this thing healthy. And the last thing, obviously, you want to increase the diversity of your gut microbiome, because the more types of microbiome you have, both in terms of taxonomic side, but really more on a functional side. That means more types of things they are producing, the better we are. That means the more different ways they can produce more different things, the human body will stay better. So what we do is we look at the stuff and saying, if you were to eat, think of your gut as a computer. And we're looking at when the input comes to that computer, this algorithm that exists, what would come out of it? So we look at the stuff, we know what's here, we know what they're doing, and then we can change the input. So when we say, if you give the different input, which is different food, so if I give you almonds, what's going to happen when the almond hits your body, your gut?
Versus Paul and Sally.
Right? Yeah. So we did.
This is actually like one of the huge under-discussed things when it comes to depression, because I feel like a lot of people's depression is caused by their messed up microbiome, because we know the microbiome, those bacteria and stuff, are creating literally neurotransmitters for your brain. Like they're directly related to our mental well-being, our happiness levels, whether we're depressed. Like imagine all the people who are depressed out there just because their gut microbiome is all screwy. Insane. Oh, I was muted. I was talking and I was muted. That's horrible.
I was wondering, everything froze for me and everything was muted.
I was saying, just imagine all the people that are depressed right now. They're not happy, and it really has to do with their gut microbiome being all screwy, because we know the microbiome creates neurotransmitters that are supposed to make us feel happy. It's directly related to our happiness levels, is the gut brain, right? And so...
Yeah, the vagus nerve connects the gut and the brain. And, you know, one thing that I like to say all the time, and Bill Andrews says this too, is that we have all these different testings now for biological age, and, you know, some are more accurate than others. The Steve Horvath clock of DNA methylation is thought to be the best predictor of your biological age and when you will die from biological aging. But there's many other tests too, and I'm sure they'll all get better and better and better. But we have one test that's very important. It's called our eyeballs and our brains. And most people are pretty good at looking at somebody and making a pretty decent guess about how old they are. I'm actually like really good at it. You know, there's I've studied those people at you know, the fair and the circus and stuff who do this, you know, for money. You know, you've seen them before, right, Roen? You've heard of this before at the fair?
Guess people's age? No, I've never heard that.
This has been going on for decades, you know, like at the local fair or something. They'll like step right up and, you know, they'll guess your age, you know. But there's a science to this, but us humans are all like pretty good at this. You know, even kids at a young age are pretty decent at this. Maybe at, you know, 5 or 6 or so they can be taught. But in any event, my whole point is that just look at Naveen Jain. This video was recorded about a year ago. Currently, he's 60 years old. Now, I personally don't think that he looks and talks like a 59-year-old in this video, or at least your typical 59-year-old that we see in first world countries now, who are, you know, 40% of Americans are obese and have all sorts of chronic conditions. So it's not just like what he's saying that makes a whole lot of sense to me, but the message fits the messenger as well, too. He seems to be a person who actually eats, breathes, sleeps, eats, you know, and lives the lifestyle that he is preaching as well too, which is very important to me from a ethical standpoint and somebody who I actually want to follow. I want to make sure that they're not just talking the talk. I want to make sure they're walking the walk too, because we've been around people who just talk a lot and don't ever get things done. You know, entrepreneurs, right?
Right. Yes. How old do you think I look? If you didn't know my age, do you think you'd be able to guess what's my age? How old do I look?
I mean, I would personally say that you were in your 20s, and I think I know that you're 32, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm biased.
Wait, I might be 33. That's so horrible, but I forget my age sometimes. I'm 33 or 32. I think 33
We had this conversation. You were born in, like, 89, right?
87.
87. So you'd be 83 now, right? If you already... Were you January?
I'd be 83? You mean 33?
Sorry. Jeez. It's late.
Yeah, 33. I guess.
Yeah. You were born in January, though, right?
August 14th.
Okay, so you're 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would honestly say that if I just saw you on the street or something and somebody asked me to guess your age, I'd probably say that you're in your 20s. But it's not it doesn't work like that because I've known you now for so long and we talk and communicate all the time. So my brain is just like already adjusted, and I know how old you are now. So
yeah, I actually start to look a lot younger if I shave too. I just like lose 5 years instantly. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it brings out the baby face, right?
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things. Number one thing we did was we did a 1,000 people test. All of them, we actually put a continuous glucose monitor on their arm, and then we gave them 55,000 to 75,000 different foods just to see, based on their gut microbiome, how does their body respond in terms of glycemic response, the glucose level. How does the thing changes the glucose level in the host by understanding what's happening in your gut. And by doing that, now we build a complete machine learning model that tells us when you eat almond, what is going to happen. When you eat carrot, what's going to happen. When you eat grape, what's going to happen. When you eat this particular food, how does your body is going to respond in terms of glycemic response, the glucose response. That's one part. Second part, we look at the stuff and saying, we have the food ontology for every single food, and we say, if this food contains this chemical, how would this chemical be converted by your gut microbiome?
I just want to understand that the glycemic response that you were measuring for these 75,000 people, that also you have a metatranscriptomic of their microbiome as well, so then you're able to relate what's going on in their gut ecosystem to their glycemic response.
Absolutely correct. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay. So we are looking at the metatranscriptomics, and we're looking at what is being produced in your gut and how does it relate to the response of glucose response on the body, right? And by doing that, now we can predict every food, how your body is going to respond to it. That's one part. The second part is understanding the ingredients of every food and the chemicals inside the food. So if you're going to eat spinach, we see spinach has oxalic acid.
Spinach sucks. I don't eat any freaking spinach. That's been a long time dietary rule of mine. Oh, do you like it?
I do, actually, and I eat a decent amount of spinach. It's got a lot of iron in it, so
I'm worried about. Yeah, I'm just like him. I'm worried about the oxalic acid.
Yeah, but one thing that he'll probably say soon that he says in almost all his videos where he's talking about the microbiome and biome is that a lot of people think, oh, I'm eating, blueberries, and blueberries are great for me. I think he said blueberries are not good for 40% of people they found from testing it. So we have to get out of this idea that all foods are good for you or all foods are bad for you. There are certain foods that are just bad for everybody, right? I'm not going to eat poop. Poop is bad for me. I'm pretty sure. Although, Roen, we can maybe talk a little later about the video we watched earlier today with all the random moldy foods and stuff. But his general point is that personalized medicine is super important. And so when I interviewed Aubrey de Grey for Lifespan.io Leaf a couple months ago in late April of this year, I asked Aubrey de Grey about personalized medicine, and he poo-pooed it. And he said he didn't think it's going to be important in the future because he thinks that, we'll just eventually have medicines that will be good for everybody across the board. He doesn't think that personalized medicine is going to be very important. And, I understand his point regarding, maybe we create a universal aging vaccine, and maybe it's, maybe we create gene therapies that we can all live longer and healthier that are just good for all of us, Liz Parrish has already done follistatin, and other people have too, like Dr. Jason Williams at Integrated Health Systems, BioViva's partner company. And she's already had the famous telomerase gene therapy and given it to other people too. That stuff is cool. But from what I know about Viome and the microbiome in general and personalized medicine, I don't think this is ever not going to be a thing. I think I know too much. So I don't want to sound conceited or egotistical or anything, but I think Aubrey de Grey is wrong here. And I don't think he understands what I understand about the microbiome, and I've learned from a really smart person like Naveen. So Naveen's a very credible person, and I'd love for maybe Aubrey and Naveen to debate about this from a personalized medicine standpoint, because Viome is personalized medicine. That's a big pitch from them. They're saying this is not your genetics. This is not your personal like genes of your body. These are all of these non-human cells that make up your body, that make up your microbiome, that are about 100 trillion cells, more than approximately the 40 trillion cells that make up your human body, human cells, with your human DNA in them. And I believe not just Naveen, I believe the science of the microbiome that I've researched, and what he says makes a lot of sense to me. So I do think personalized medicine makes a lot of sense now and will continue to make more sense in the future.
Yeah, with the spinach thing, I think he's about to say, or I know he said it in a different interview, there is certain bacteria that can break down and degrade the oxalic acid, so it's not bad for you. You have to have those particular species that will create chemicals to break down and neutralize the oxalic acid. That's possible.
Definitely.
What would happen to that oxalic acid when they hits the gut? Is it going to be detoxified into something benign, or is that going to actually end up as a kidney stone because there is nothing in your gut that can detoxify it? Yeah. So our recommendation will be try to minimize or avoid this spinach. Right? Instead, eat the following things. Right? Second part of the things are the things that are actually good for you. So things you want to eat that may be antioxidative. Now, you look at the food that are antioxidative, they are not antioxidative in themselves. They have ingredients that can make those foods into antioxidative. So such as pomegranate juice, it has allergic acid. Allergic acid is not antioxidative, but when allergic acid is converted by the enzymes in your gut, it converts into ULA, urolithin A, that is antioxidative. So if your organisms are not producing the right set of enzymes that can convert this allergic acid into ULA, you're not going to get any antioxidative benefit from these food, and that is the best, or this will end up being causing inflammation.
And I love how you are breaking down exactly what the ingredient is within the food, what it is. And then also something else that I find really good about the Viome platform is that it makes it very relatable for you to see which foods and what amounts of that food, like you were saying earlier, avoid or minimize or have as much of this as you want. And that is a direct relation to your gut ecosystem's ability to intake that food and how, like you said, what input are you putting into the computer? What is it out?
And that is really, our food recommendations are all based on real science that can essentially tell you. And that's the reason thousands and thousands of people, now we have tens of thousands of people who have actually done this. And amazing. I mean, to me, the most satisfying thing I get is emails I get every day. You changed my life. I had joint pains. I no longer have joint pains. I used to have acne. It's gone. My eczema is gone. I have lost weight.
So that was a big part of my research. And, I found that a lot of people in the scientific community with PhDs and stuff, people I've interviewed, a lot of them poo-poo a lot of the research that I feel like I'm doing and call it just like anecdotal. When I go on YouTube and I go on social media and I do what I kind of feel like is investigative journalism to see, is this really true? Is this BS, right? Is this bad science? And I've seen an incredible amount of testimonials from people who, to me, seem to be very credible. They're not getting paid from what I can tell. In fact, they're paying money to Viome. They're just normal people. And they give their testimonials and say, hey, I've had this chronic condition for years. I have Hashimoto's disease. I have multiple sclerosis, MS. I have type 2 diabetes. I have on and on and on and on, chronic diarrhea, whatever. Tom Bilyeu's wife has had problems with health problems, gut problems. And she herself tried Viome and says that she got a lot better. Now, Naveen Jain has been on Tom Bilyeu's show a couple times. There could be money involved. There could be things involved there, right? But there's many, I've watched like over 50 testimonials of people who say that Viome has improved them dramatically. And if you just hear that up front, you're like, yeah, whatever. But when you listen to the details and you listen to their stories, I really think that there is something here. And so now I've been eating my Viome diet for about a year. I should probably get retested. I'll talk to Naveen about that. Like, how long do you think, based off your all's technology, this test actually lasts? Like, you know, and hopefully he'll give us an update on that, because this is evolving science. You know, I'm sure they know way more now a year later from when I stopped my really intense research on Viome about a year ago, because I've just been busy on other things and focusing on our YouTube channel and other things. But I'll be really interested to see some updates from them. And they have a new product that they've released, a new service that we'll be talking about as well too. So I just want to pause there and say that I've personally done a lot of research on testimonials for Viome and the microbiome. And you know, I do understand that a lot of charlatans out there always have incredible claims, and for incredible claims, there should be, you know, incredible, you know, science to back it up. So we can ask him the hard questions when we interview him as well, too.
Excellent. I bet there's a lot of YouTube videos of people giving some kind of testimonial about Viome. That would be interesting.
There's a lot. You can find them on Viome's official YouTube channel. You know, maybe when we're done with this one, we can check that out a little bit and look into that and see some of those testimonials and just maybe watch a couple of them. They're all real quick, like 1, 2, 3 minutes. But then I found others as well on people's just their own YouTube channels, people just uploading videos. I did that myself. I didn't do a testimonial, but I did an 8-minute video in March of 2019 with my wife, just showing the kit and explaining how it works and what we did and why we're doing it. And I said I'd do an update video, and I still haven't done that yet. I've been busy and procrastinated that, but I should definitely do an update video. I guess the update video is interviewing the founder and CEO of the company.
Yeah, that's a great update.
Right?
Oh, awesome.
Wait, I now sleep all night. I've never been able to sleep. You know, all the conditions that people call chronic diseases, they were simply the symptom.
Holy moly. You guys know I'm an insomniac lately. Now I'm wondering, I'm putting, 2 and 2 together. What if it's, what if I need an implant of, I want the fecal implant of someone who's, the best sleeper on the planet, who sleeps, 14 hours a night. I'll take that. I'll take that fecal implant, please.
Well, you don't want to be sleeping 14 hours a night. I know you're just joking, Roen, but...
Actually, I mean, seriously, there's this idea of, sleeping really, really long. We say, okay, maybe we should sleep 8 or 9 hours a day, but what happens if you sleep 24 hours in a day? What's super long sleeps? We hear there's the Odin sleep. Have you heard about that? Well, it's a fantasy. It's in a movie, but what if there's something to that, artificially inducing a hypersleep? What if there's a healing in that,
I've done a lot of research on sleep, and according to Dr. Matthew Walker, and Dr. Michael Bruce, there is a cutoff where you actually don't want more sleep. It can make you more tired and groggy and have less energy.
Interesting. I wonder why that is. That's so counterintuitive. I would never think that.
Well, because you don't just want to sleep your whole life away. We have to go out and do things. We have to gather food. We have to have sex and procreate. We have to, exercise. And we're social creatures. We need stimulation. We need all sorts of things. You don't just want to sleep your whole life away.
Right. But I would think, if you wake up energized, sleeping for 8 hours, you'd think 3 extra hours would just make you a bit more energized. That's what I would naturally think.
When I get 11 hours of sleep, which probably happens about once a month, because I don't use an alarm clock, and I don't like to set meetings in the morning either. Sleep is paramount to me. I try to build my whole life around sleep. I make sleep the foundation of my life. It is harder now that I have a child, a 6-month-old, and really he is the most important thing in my wife's life. So we're actually now building our life around him. But before I had a kid, I really had sleep as the foundation of my life. Now it's my child, then sleep. But my point is that I would just naturally get about 11 hours of sleep, maybe once a month. And when I would wake up from 11 hours of sleep, I would feel like a superhuman. Basically like I was 19 again. Like I was just, I'm 35. My body, my brain, it does not feel as good as it did when I was 19. I remember what it was like. And I'm doing a lot better now from living a healthier lifestyle the last few years. And I had the stem cell injections in Mexico in December 2018 and did exercises that Brandon, if you're still here, Brandon Thomas was on the live stream a little bit ago. My good friend and chiropractor helped me with some of those chronic musculoskeletal conditions I had. But in general, you know, I try and get 8 hours of sleep, maybe 9 every single night, and that keeps me feeling great and it makes me the best version of myself, you know.
Heck yeah. All right, let's go on.
Viome doesn't diagnose any diseases. We don't claim to cure any diseases. Interesting thing is, all we do is reduce the inflammation in your gut by balancing your gut. Yeah. And when we balance your gut, the things we used to call diseases, those were the symptoms. Those symptoms seems to go away. We don't cure any of these symptoms. They should have never existed to begin with. Right? We just fix the root cause.
Yes.
Inflammation is...
Ooh, I just got reminded of something cool we should ask him and talk about. Definitely the idea that the microbiome influences your behavior. Because I remember he hinted at something about that during the interview with Tom Bilyeu. Like that they're controlling us in a way, that they are signaling to us, almost like a mind-controlling parasite, where they're like, kind of, they can, you know, change our food cravings. They can, like these things that like viruses and even bacteria. I think they're controlling us in way more than people realize.
I completely agree, Roen. And these are not things that we just believe because we are crazy conspiracy theorists or anything like that. This is deep, complex, evolving science. And the vagus nerve is very well known and understood in the scientific community. However, it's not very well known to lay people. And the vagus nerve, quite simply, just connects your gut to your brain. And we know that now from this microbiome research that a lot of, if not most, if not all, of these chronic conditions that show up in the brain, like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other degenerative diseases, it appears now that they are not actually brain disorders. They are microbiome disorders, and they're going on for many, many decades, starting maybe in your teens, 20s, 30s, or 40s, but then you start to see symptoms maybe gradually in your 50s, 60s, and then it gets really bad in your 70s and 80s. And I just think that coincidences don't really exist. We just might not understand where the link is. And one thing that has been a saying in our human culture throughout many different cultures for hundreds of, if not thousands of years, I don't know if it's thousands, but it's a long time, is, you know, we say go with your gut, trust your gut. I just don't think that's a coincidence. I think somehow these ancient cultures figured it out somehow. And it really is our gut through the vagus nerve, like kind of signaling to our brain what to do. And you know, you've heard me say this too, Roen, about our heart. We now know there's at least 40,000 neuron cells in our heart. And they've done studies at the Heart Math Institute in Boulder Creek, California, just right by Santa Cruz, just half hour south of San Jose, Silicon Valley, where they can see the actual heart getting the information first in those neuron cells in the heart, and then feeding that information to the brain. So when we also have these sayings like, you know, what is your heart telling you? Is this really a coincidence, or did we have this knowledge somewhere in our past somehow? I don't want to get like too conspiratorial or too like whatever. I don't know if we had high technology to figure this stuff out hundreds or thousands of years ago. My question is just simply, is this really a coincidence? Or did we somehow know this in our ancient cultures? Right,
that is so intriguing. I think we figured it out somehow. It's not a coincidence. I don't think it is.
It seems to be ridiculous to be a coincidence.
Yeah.
Like, trust your gut? Like, what? Like, listen to your heart. What does your heart tell you? That's what so many like, wise people, our grandparents and stuff, have told us, right?
Maybe I can see how people might have deduced this just through experience. Like if you're in love, maybe you kind of feel it in your heart, right? Like you kind of literally feel it there. Or do you? I can't remember. I don't even know.
You know, Rowan, it's difficult because it's so subjective, and people who don't believe this will just be like, Rowan and Brent are just crazy people. But maybe just hold on for a second if you're poo-pooing what I'm saying.
Or here's a better example. People definitely feel anxiety in their stomach, in their gut. Like that's for real. Like you feel anxiety and it shuts off your freaking digestion. You feel like horrible in your stomach area, right? That's for real.
But I agree with that. But I was just going to say, like, maybe, just maybe, we were more in tune with our emotions and things a long time ago, before we had all this technology and before we had, you know, this incredible science to tell us, oh, no, it's not this way. You're crazy. There's no way this could be it. And people could just be more in tune with themselves and their bodies and their emotions. And maybe people just figured this out. But I don't know. I want to be clear that I'm just throwing out an idea and a theory here, and I find it fascinating. I don't claim to know any of this, you know?
Yeah.
A flame, the flame that's burning. We shut the valve off, the gas valve, and once we shut the gas valve, the flame goes away, and suddenly your red skin is starting to become normal.
It's rejuvenating then. Yes. Okay. So now tens of thousands of people now have went through Viome, and we have all of this data. Now, this is very interesting. So with this sort of like 95% difference between me and you in our gut microbiome, and then if I eat a carrot, it affects me differently than it affects you potentially.
It does.
And the ecosystem is different. And so so then there's that, and then you take the sort of the way that you're just able to calculate all of this information and what it means moving forward. So tell us about that.
So basically we take remember hundreds of thousands of transcripts of all the microorganisms, 40 trillion of them. We take all of their transcripts. We take all of the information you provide us in terms of what's going on inside your body. And then we feed all of that into artificial intelligence. And then it starts to crunch and crunch and crunch and crunch and say, okay, here are the foods that you should really be avoiding. Here are the foods that are superfoods for you. Here are the other foods you can have in these quantities. And if you were to do that, your body will essentially stay in balance. And the AI is the key. And this is why I've been, really on this mission to solve this problem. The only way we'll be able to solve chronic diseases that we have, hundreds of thousands and the millions of people come together to understand all these different guts, all these different symptoms, what is underlying things. And every single person who joins us not only gets better themselves, it contributes back to the humanity for everyone else to be better. In fact, when you join today, you make everyone before you better, and the people who joined before you are making you better. And
dude, I just got a crazy idea. Like, think about this. What if we not only continue to interview people, but eventually we set up interviews where different super experts can interview each other and have a conversation. Like, there's not enough of that, because a lot of these experts in their fields and scientists and researchers, they don't do the social media stuff. They don't interview people. So imagine there needs to be someone setting up forums where a few experts can get together and talk about something. Imagine him talking with, Rhonda Patrick, for instance. Like, that might not happen just naturally. There needs to be people setting up these meetings, almost like a matchmaker for like experts and different public figures. We could do that. We could be we could be those people.
Roen, I completely agree. And remember, about a month ago, I joined the panel for the Lifespan.io LEAF conference, where we had, Aubrey de Grey, David Sinclair, and many, many other prominent longevity scientists. I didn't actually contribute. I was just kind of helping put it together and being support there in case Keith had technical issues. I was going to take over. Keith Cometto, the founder and president of Lifespan.io and LEAF. And that's essentially what he did for longevity, what they did at Leaf for that, and it was very successful and informative, and I think a lot of people liked it. So, Roen, it's a great idea, and I don't see any reason why we can't be doing this. And maybe we could do it even on a monthly basis. You know, be like, hey, microbiome expert, founder, CEO of Viome, Naveen Jain will be joining us, Dr. Rhonda Patrick, Dr. David Sinclair, Alberta Gray, Vera Gorbanova. So I think what we should be doing for the foreseeable future, maybe the next month or so, is just continuing to pump out these interviews in this format with these longevity experts, building a portfolio of these and building the relationships with them. But we can also be working on that strategy as well too, with we could even start that now. We can maybe after the interview with each person say, hey, this is the idea that we have for you to kind of like join as a panel, different experts of different things. Could you be our like microbiome expert and join if we have other prominent, gerontologists and aging experts? Can have an exosome expert. I can get probably Dr. Duncan Ross, the founder and CEO of Chimera Labs, to join. Get stem cell experts to join. Alberta Gray. That would be incredible, Roen. Great idea.
That would be so awesome. Like a think tank, like a think tank for anti-aging and a think tank for life extension.
We can do a live stream, and we can even make it like 3 hours or something. Like make it basically, we've raced into the digital video conference age here with COVID-19. So why not just keep on racing to the finish line for that, right?
Why not?
Want to make the next person better, right? Yep. So everyone is contributing back into the people who already joined and contributing further to the people who will be joining. And this is what I really mean. Our pharmaceutical companies have become parasite on humanity. Humanity will come together to kill this parasite called pharmaceutical companies. The best day of our lives will be these parasites are essentially dead.
Because food is medicine.
The food is the medicine. That's the only drug you will need. We'll go back to the thing what Hippocrates says. Let food be thy medicine, let thy medicine be the food. And I really believe if we come together, we'll get to a point where we'll eliminate suffering. We will eliminate chronic diseases. As a matter of fact, I would argue that our generation is the generation that is going to solve this problem. If our generation does not solve this problem, we are the generation that will be looked upon as the generation that allowed our children and grandchildren to suffer because we were too selfish, we were too self-conceited, we were too self-egotistic that we couldn't come together to solve this problem.
Yep. And
wow, just appreciate that big thinking right there. It doesn't get much bigger than that, Just like, Mark Zuckerberg wanting to cure all diseases, he says in our children's lifetime, but like let's get even better than that. Let's do it in our lifetime.
I agree, and Naveen basically has those inspirational moments, and I've heard him say things like that, dozens of times. So he says that in almost every interview that he does or speech, and it's very powerful. I think that I am not a expert on microbiome, and I don't think that there is any human being that is an expert on microbiome. I think that the experts on microbiome probably might not even know 1% of it. But what we have been learning about the microbiome over the last few years, in the last decade or so, is leading some of the smartest minds in the scientific health community to realize that this seems to be a very, very important big thing that a lot of people still haven't caught on to yet. So, I've tried to convince a number of people over the last few years to look into the microbiome and the science of it and look into Viome and watch some of these videos. And quite frankly, I haven't been too successful with converting some people because some people are just don't keep an open mind and are not willing to learn. And it sounds too crazy. But ask Bill Gates about microbiome. He's definitely thinks that it's exciting and important to look into. Ask some of the most smartest, forward-thinking people on this planet about it, and they're onto it, and they think it's important. So that's the research that I've done, and I figured that out at least.
You know, Bill Gates, he's red-pilled on a lot of stuff. He has this series on his YouTube channel where he talks about the books he's reading. And one of the books he's reading, or I know he already read it, it was Dr. Walker. Okay, the Why We Sleep. Why We Sleep? How We Sleep. Why We Sleep?
It's called Why We Sleep, yeah.
Why We Sleep. So Bill Gates is onto that, you know?
It's a fabulous book. It's a really good book. I recommend everybody read it. There is so much that we know about sleep right now from a scientific standpoint. And if you don't like reading, there is dozens of hours of interviews of Matthew Walker on YouTube and lectures of his. Just type in Matthew Walker into YouTube and go crazy. Lots of great information. He's a very effective communicator. He's a very intelligent, well-spoken British fellow with a very pleasant accent.
Yeah, I liked his interview on Joe Rogan. It was really good.
That one was phenomenal. But Joe Rogan's incredible, obviously, and that was a good one. But he has other really good interviews as well, too. It's not that the Joe Rogan interview wasn't fabulous, because it was, but you can only get so much information in 2 hours. There's tons of information about sleep that he's always... It's a rabbit hole. You know, you're like, oh man, what more can I learn about sleep? I mean, you just lay down and close your eyes. How complex can this be? It's incredibly complex and incredibly fascinating, in my opinion. And I've enjoyed going down the sleep rabbit hole, and I'll continue to go down it.
Me too. Me too.
A bit about data, because I think this is a very interesting point along the way, is just that when I submit to Viome, we have the general data privacy rights, all this different stuff that's formulating. So is it a co-ownership of the data? Is it anonymized when it goes into the AI algorithms?
So first of all, no individually identified data, no personally identified data is ever in the database with the information completely separated, completely encrypted. More than anything else, remember, we are doing the RNA sequencing. Unlike the DNA sequencing, your DNA never changes from the time you're born to the time you die. Your RNA sequencing, basically what's going on inside your gut, is constantly changing and adapting. That means even if somebody were to hack into it, and somebody were to beat the shit out of you and take that shit and analyze it, it's going to be very different.
In 3 months.
In 3 months or 4 months. So you can go back and say, ooh, that's your poop now. Right? So my point is, it is the data, what is called a snapshot. And the snapshot is constantly changing. Right?
Functional, dynamic.
Yeah. In addition to that, we have complete HIPAA compliance. I mean, we use the Amazon HIPAA cloud, and we obviously keep personalized identifying information from all the data. We are not a health company, just to be sure. We still follow all the laws right? Good. But we're a wellness company. We didn't have to do it, but we do it because we believe in making sure that our customers believe in us. We only do this because we believe we can solve this problem. Awesome. And Alan, just to be clear, you know me. I don't have to start a company. I don't have to do this at all. I could be enjoying a beautiful life on some sunny, warm island. The reason I've spent so much of time doing it because this problem is worth solving. Yes. And I need every one of your help to help me solve it.
Yes. It's a problem of keeping a strong and healthy gut throughout life. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. That was a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's got TED Talks as well too. Pretty impressive dude.
Do you got time for any more, or do you gotta head to bed?
I could maybe do a little bit more. It's 11:41 right now. We could maybe go to midnight, maybe 20 more minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm good on that. I can do that. Let's see. What should we watch next? Viome introduced by Naveen Jain. That's there. We got a lot of options here. Oh, look. Deepak Chopra and Dr. Oz talk about Viome.
There you go. I've seen that one, actually. Yeah, let's maybe just scroll through this for a minute. So, making illness optional is just something that he says all the time. And
look, this is just what I was thinking. A bunch of people giving their testimonials.
I've seen this one. This is a bunch of different testimonials in 2 minutes. Let's watch that one because it's a compilation of all these testimonials. I've seen this one.
Okay.
I've been struggling for many, many years with stomach issues and seen many, many different doctors, had different elimination diets, different tests, different supplements, and nothing has seemed to work.
Even though I was doing everything to keep myself healthy, fit, I was still suffering from anxiety, depression. I felt bloated most of the time.
I've had acne for the past 8 years. It was getting to the point where I was feeling a little bit hopeless and every day was a struggle.
I had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I have Hashimoto's disease.
I was experiencing a lot of digestive problems, mainly gas, bloating, and constipation, all the fun stuff.
I was diagnosed with colitis, which ended up in me getting emergency.
I gotta mention this before I forget it. Do you know if any super centenarians have had their biomes tested? Like, has there been any studies on like the biomes and the microbiomes of super long-lived centenarian people? Is there any commonalities there? Do you know of that?
That's a great question, Roen, and I can't recall seeing that anywhere in like biomes, marketing material, or anything Naveen said. Or anything that I've come across on the internet. So let's put that down as an interview question for Naveen. I'm actually gonna type that in right now for as an interview question.
Definitely, because that seems like that needs to be explored for sure.
Yep, I'm gonna add this in here.
Appendix removal surgery.
I was classified as morbidly obese. I had to change because I did not want to die.
I'm co-founder of one of the largest nutrition companies in the world, and we still couldn't figure it out. But Viome actually just said, this is what is happening in your gut. This is what your gut looks like.
They sent over an in-home kit, which was so easy.
It's great now to be able to type a food into the app and it'll come up and tell me whether I should be enjoying that food or whether I should minimize my intake of that food.
What I discovered is that I was eating foods multiple times per day, every single day, that were actually making me really sick.
My mental clarity came back, my physical energy came back, my depressive symptoms were gone, less bloating, I lost a little bit of weight.
I have lost in total over 115 pounds just trusting the process.
My acne completely went away.
I've started to lower my medications for Hashimoto's because my numbers are that great.
I was skeptical as well, and I'm happy that I stuck with it because it's the best I've ever felt in my entire life.
Feeling like I actually have this tool.
That's Tom Bilyeu's wife
so
right there.
Viome,
you've changed.
Really
interesting. Good to know.
Changed my life.
First time I ever heard about Viome was from you. I never even heard about it before then.
Yep, and I've told you guys to do the Viome test for a while. I bought it for my mom and my mother-in-law for Mother's Day last year. And I think they took them both a few months to actually do the kit and submit it and then get the results. And I don't think that either of them have actually been following their Viome diet very well. So even when I buy the kit for my mom and my mother-in-law and tell them, like, do this, try this is legit science, I've done all this research, they're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. So, you know, it's hard for people to change. It's hard for people to get in this stuff. And I know that it is like new science and that it's difficult for people to understand it. But I put in a lot of research to this stuff when it comes to microbiome and biome in particular, and it just makes sense to me on so many different ways.
Absolutely. So I'm on his channel right now, and I just sorted by most popular videos. So these are his most popular videos on his own channel.
Yeah.
Any of these pop out to you? What? Nicole Arbor. Nicole Arbor. What? He's talking to Nicole Arbor? You know her? She is? She's a YouTuber. Very popular, famous
This
YouTuber.
is a show about dreamers.
Oh, we gotta watch this a little bit.
This is a show about where people come.
You know who she is, right?
I think I've seen this video, but I am not like familiar with her. I've never. Roen, you know this. This happens over and over and over again. I'm not like. I haven't watched YouTube for like YouTubers. I've watched YouTube basically based off science and stuff.
So Nicole Arbor, she got really famous when she made a video called Dear Fat People. It went super viral, and I mean super viral. I wonder if the original video is still on YouTube. Yeah, see, look, 14 million views. But
Okay.
it got viral in a bad way. People hated her for it. She got so much hate because basically it was this like tough love. It was very tough love for fat people. But people did not like her message. I agreed with her, and I was like,
Can we watch just this briefly?
yeah, sure, yeah.
14 million views.
I made videos like defending her, and some people did, but most people were just attacking her. But I could tell she was doing it out of love. Like, she was just giving some tough love. Like, it's serious. If you're fat,
Yeah,
you're gonna
obesity is
freaking
a
die.
huge problem.
What?
And I said obesity is a huge problem, and as we're moving more and more into a socialist healthcare system in America, as much as I don't like it, it's not just their problem, it's our problem too. It affects all of us. We're all kind of one consciousness, and we're all connected in many ways, and obesity is really, really bad for your health. And hopefully COVID-19 has been a big wake-up call for people, because aging is the foremost risk factor for COVID-19, and obesity is the second biggest risk factor for COVID-19. And if you are old and obese, COVID-19, might be coming for you. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Today, you don't know if this is hairspray or semen. Dear fat people. Some people are already really mad at this video. What are you gonna do, fat people? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna chase me? Really? You gonna chase me? It's gonna be like fucking Frankenstein. I can get away from you by walking at a reasonable pace. Frankenstein, not so fast. Zombies have apparently gotten faster. I watched like 3 episodes of The Walking Dead, and not being slow myself in the brain, realized that every single episode is exactly the same. Oh no, they need something, but it's all the way over there, where the zombies are. Fat shaming is not a thing. Fat people made that up. That's the race card with no race. Yeah, but I couldn't fit into a store. That's discrimination.
I noticed you smiling there. Did you want to say something?
I was just gonna say this is not what I was expecting. We're 43 seconds in, and she just started talking about fat people.
Yeah.
She's talking about zombies and this and that.
That's her
And I
style.
think-
She's like a comedian. She jumps everywhere.
Yeah, I did think it was funny what she said about The Walking Dead, because I never watched the show. I've seen, 2-3 minute clips here and there from being at people's houses or people telling me to watch it or seeing it, whatever. And I was just like, I don't know, like maybe if this was a movie, I'd watch it, like the Brad Pitt movie, Z. What was that one?
World War Z.
World War Z. I watched that and was like, yeah, it's Brad Pitt. It's cool. Like whatever. I'm not gonna watch like a freaking 12 episode per season, 7 season long show about this personally. So
Right.
I thought that was funny what she said.
Time for my CBD dose.
Boom.
Boom.
No, that means you're too fat. You should stop eating. Everybody just needs to make more sense. There's a race card, there's a disability card, there's even a gay card, because gay people are discriminated against, wrongfully so. The gay card's covered in
Oh,
glitter.
Roen,
It's
press
fucking
pause.
magical.
So this is something that's super relevant to what she's talking about here. Did you see what I sent the group? What Richard Hart said in his Telegram group
Yeah,
tonight?
it's the Oppression Olympics.
Yeah, Richard Hart said, imagine being an orphaned African-American transgender midget albino. You'd basically be entitled to head of state. And then he said, I wonder if being blind and deaf would help. Oppression Olympics. And that might be offensive to certain people if you fall into any of those categories or something. And, I don't mean it to be offensive. It's just critical thinking, getting people to think like, hey, we don't actually want to create, I talk about all the time, incentives are everything, right? For our society, for business, for everything, for our entire global culture. And we don't want to create an environment where we make it a good thing to be like negative. And I'm not saying, like, for example, I don't want my words to be misconstrued here. African American, right? There's nothing negative about that. There's just a minority here. There's nothing negative about being transgender or a midget or albino. There's nothing like negative about those things, right? Blind, you can think like objectively, you're probably not going to be like a a baseball player, you know, a professional athlete if you're blind or something, or
well,
deaf.
I think midget, there's some health complications that come with that either. So
Okay, fair. Yeah, you're not going to have as long of a life expectancy, right? Just scientifically, right? But my general point is that we don't want to be downgrading certain things, or we don't want to be celebrating certain things that are not healthy for our culture. We want to be respectful of people and all of their, you know, beliefs, as long as they're not harming or hurting other people. But we don't there's a difference between respecting and like celebrating something.
yeah, like fat pride. Now they have fat pride. You know, it's like
Right. It's like, no, it should be more like, all right, if you're obese, then you should realize that scientifically this is a health condition that you should get serious about, and you should care about yourself and your life. But
they glamorize it. They literally glamorize it now. There's like obese models, and they, you know, they say fat is beautiful and everything.
yeah, I mean, beauty's in the eyes of the beholder, and if you think that that's beautiful, then more power to you. But personally, I see obese people and I see like data. I'm a data-driven person, and I see like, oh, like this is really, really bad for your health in so many different ways, like really bad. Because we're longevity activists, right? You're not going to live a long, healthy life if you're obese.
Yes, exactly.
Are you gonna tell the doctor that they're being mean and fat shaming you when they say you have fucking heart disease? I'm not talking about people who have a little bit of cushion for the pushing. And if there's people watching this with a specific health condition, this is not aimed at you. I'm talking about the 35% of North Americans who are obese. That means you are so fat, you are affecting your own health. Big boned isn't a thing. How stupid do I look? Don't answer that. There are no fucking skeletons that look like the Michelin Man. Fat shaming. Who came up with that? That's fucking brilliant. Yes, shame people who have bad habits until they fucking stop. Fat shaming. If we offend you so much that you lose weight, I'm okay with that. You are killing yourself. Yeah. I'll sleep at night. Maybe I'm a little jealous that you get to eat whatever you want. Obesity is a disease? Yeah, so is being a shopaholic. But I don't get a fucking parking pass. It would make a lot of sense if I did. I'm the one with all the bags. Fat people parking spots should be at the back of the mall parking lot. Walk to the doors and burn some calories. Why are we helping them? Want to die quicker? Come this way. It's assisted suicide. Isn't it ironic that it's taking a blonde girl to explain shit? It's irony, right? I don't feel bad for you because you are taking your body for granted. If it were like a pack of Smarties, and you're like, you know what? Fuck this Smartie. You Smartie? Fuck you. I'm gonna fucking mash you up. I'm gonna make you not good. I'm gonna throw you on the ground. That's okay because you got a bunch of other Smarties. You got one body. One. It has to take you all the way to the end. You get that? Good. Fuck you, Smartie. Oh my god, the hashtags. Body positive.
I've seen enough. I think I get it. It's pretty good, but let's maybe finish off with Naveen.
Yeah, good idea. I love her blunt, brutal honesty style, you know?
So she interviewed Naveen Jain. Very interesting.
I am amazed at this. Like, these are the last two people I would expect to have connected, you know? Like,
so this is his show, Moonshot. You know, you can see it in the background here in a second. And I think I've seen this interview, but I didn't realize that she was like a famous, you know, YouTuber with a lot of subscribers or anything. Obviously, I figured she had some.
Oh, wow. He did something with Dave Asprey, too. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is like his podcast, you know? So he's maybe the longevity team, one of us or all of us could be on his little Moonshot podcast one time, right?
Heck yeah.
Here and talk about what is it they do that wakes them up every morning to do something that is going to change the way people live their lives. The guests on this show are going to be the special people who find themselves in a position to be able to do things that only few people dream about. And today, I'm going to have a special guest with me, Nicole Arbor.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
Well, Nicole, you are one of the few people who have 700 million views on the things you do.
Yeah.
You have a star, Hollywood star.
Yeah, honorary star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for special achievement in social media.
Oh my God. You are a comedian. You got all kinds of skills. And here's the best part. You are an entrepreneur in the entertainment industry.
Yes, entrepreneur is the word I made up.
Really?
Yeah.
So you gotta tell us.
Dude, I respect Naveen for even having her on his show. this was way after the Dear Fat People. And by the way, that Dear Fat People thing, like, she's still taking flack for that. Like, people still hate her. She's considered one of these, almost like, what do you call it, blacklisted people, like, in a lot of communities. Like, people hate her, and she's been very honest about a number of other topics. She's very politically incorrect. And so just the fact that he has Nicole Arbor on his show, and he's like, screw all that. Who cares if people hate her? Like, that is impressive to me. I respect that.
Yeah, Naveen Jain is one of these people, in my opinion, who's just focused on the truth and science, right? And sometimes people misjudge things and they get caught up in the wrong things. So I think, Roen, what you and I are focused on is just the truth. We're obsessed with the truth, and we're obsessed with science. That's what's led us to longevity and other beliefs that we have, too, about police brutality, government. We have a lot of ideas that aren't necessarily popular. But I'm not worried about what's popular. I'm worried about what's true. And I think here, Naveen, I'm sure he's seen, at the very least, heard of her 14 million viewed Fat People YouTube video. And the reason why I think Naveen, doesn't mind that and might even respect that is because he knows how bad obesity is for health. That's actually a big part of his mission statement, and his just personal mission of founding Viome, because he believes that getting people to do the Viome test and then following their Viome diet can dramatically impact their health in a positive way and help them avoid and reverse obesity, which can add years to their life, and maybe you never know what those people can do with added years to their lives and what they can accomplish. So you just got to rise above all the nonsense and focus on the positives. And I think that's what Naveen is incredible at doing. If you've been watching this live stream the whole time, or if you're watching later on and you've watched everything, hopefully by this point you've realized that Naveen Jain is one of these incredible people. He's a bundle of positive energy. And,
right. Like Health First says in the comments, Naveen is woke. Yes.
Woke. Yes, he is Health First. And Health First. Not second.
Yes, that's a great message. Put it first. Health is your greatest wealth. That is everything.
Yep.
It's more about what is it that means, and more than that, what is your moonshot?
Ooh, I had a feeling you would ask me my moonshot. Okay, you and I talked last night, for those of you who can't see us or heard listening. And Naveen had a great way of saying the moonshots. Like, imagine a world where, and then I went home and I thought about that. So I wrote it down. I'm going to tell you.
I want to hear it.
I'm going to tell you. It won't be as great as yours, but I'm working on it. So for me, it's imagine a world where people were conditioned to win, where their minds are so confident, so competent that their thoughts created winning streaks. And imagine people who never gave excuses are surrounded by legends who helped them and then just help their lives win every time. That is Go Team, and that's my dream, and that's my moonshot, is to raise everybody up to that level and get the world cheering.
Well, that's an
Dude, she's freaking woke. I've always got a good vibe with her, and so much more confirmation. She has I watched videos of her. She had incredibly, she had health problems. Her story is very inspirational. Everyone has a story, and hers is no different. Very inspirational story. I recommend watching her. She's got, she had horrible problems in her life that she overcame.
Maybe we can get her on the longevity.
Yes, we absolutely should. Someone as smart as her probably wants to live as long as possible. She's probably a super longevity fan.
We just need to be smarter, Roen, with networking with people and stuff. And the internet's great, with networking, but sometimes, for all these people like Naveen, who I try to connect with and reply to me, and we're so excited to have Naveen on our live stream in a week from now, there's, 10 more that just never reply back, because they're busy. I get it. I sometimes don't reply back to people because I'm busy, or I don't think it's a good fit or whatever. But as we become more popular and our message becomes more popular, I think we'll have more opportunities to interview and do collaborations with more famous influencers. And I think that we should, have a running list of these type of people, and we should be going after them. So
right.
We'll have about that and talk about that more, because, you never know what kind of person might see the kind of content that we're creating and the message that we're sending out, and people might jive with that and want to come on our show and tell their story about, you know, their health story and their passions for longevity. Because I really believe, Roen, like you do, we've talked about this, that every single person, if they're healthy, they want to just keep living longer. They just do, but they just don't know the science and don't believe that it's possible to live like. They don't believe in radical life extension yet because they don't know the science, but hopefully they will soon if we do our job right.
Yes, absolutely. Well said.
Amazing moonshot, Nicole.
Thanks.
But
I know I can get more succinct, and you're
but
gonna help
more
me.
than that,
Yeah.
it's not something you can easily picture and visualize. Remember the things we
Working
talked
on
about?
it.
That
Yep.
it has to be something that when you tell someone, a picture of that pops right in front of
Make the world cheer. I know that's on the base level. I'll get into it. We'll get better at it as I really get into it, but that is my goal, is to make the world
Love
cheer.
that.
It's changed my life so much, and I realized that, well, a lot of people might not know about my car accident and stuff like that.
Please share.
Okay, I will. So,
You know, this is important too for us and marketing and everything, because she has this cool thing with her audience that we can learn from. So she refers to her audience as like her team. She says things like "go team" and really inspirational. Like she's like has this cheerleader theme. She wants everyone to like be cheerful and like they're rooting for her and everything. So she calls everyone else her team. We need something to like refer to our audience as, and like making them feel like they're part of like a team, you know. And we need like a name for them. Like even celebrities name their fans. Like
they do.
Yeah, there's this thing in pop culture where like every singer, like I think it was Katy Perry, she calls her fans like her kitty cats, and like Lady Gaga.
Really?
Yeah, Lady Gaga names her fans her little monsters. Literally.
Really?
Yeah, they have these pet names for their fans. Like the the people who follow us, we need to have like a name for them that make them feel special, that they're heard, they're seen.
I know that the silly show Tiger King that was on Netflix, that came out in March, they showed the crazy Carol Baskin, and she has her YouTube show, and I think she would start off with like, "Hey, all you crazy cats and kittens," or something like that, which I think is stupid. But a lot of people are really dumb though, Roen. That's why I talk about idiocracy. So I guess a dumb thing. I have more respect for people, I guess, which is why I don't want to.
Yeah, well, I mean, our name for our audience could be more intellectual and like smart and sophisticated. It doesn't have to be like silly. It could be like.
So our audience are like longevity enthusiasts, but that's kind of a mouthful, right? So it'd have to be something more catchy and short. What could it be?
Right. We'll have to brainstorm about that.
I mean, your show that we're on right now on your channel is Eternal Life Fans, right? So,
yeah, mine's easy. I just call, "Hey, Eternal Life Fans,"
Yeah. We could just say, "Hey, longevity fans." That's not too much of a mouthful, right?
I like that. Longevity fans.
And that way they're like, "Oh, yeah, I am a longevity fan. I'm watching here and I want longevity. Cool, I'm a longevity fan."
I like that. That's good.
Okay. And Roen, I am fading fast, so I'll go a few more minutes, then I'm going to bow out gracefully and get to sleep. Sleep's important.
Yes, it is. Alrighty.
So, before 2008, I was a cheerleader in the NBA for the Toronto Raptors. I was in feature films. I was on the top comedy show in Canada on our version of MTV, which is Much Music. Life was good. I was doing all this awesome stuff in stand-up comedy. I got out of a taxi one night and got rear-ended when I was,
my God.
I know, halfway out of the cab. So being halfway in the car, my head hit the taxi 3 times in the side of the door frame. And then
So you've watched all this? Or have you literally...
No, I'll tell you what happened now. I'm almost positive. I follow Naveen on Instagram mainly, and he does little like IGTVs. And yeah, he does stories too. So I think I saw a clip from this. I've definitely seen a part of this, but I don't think I've watched the full thing. So I have not seen this story here.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like she's going to go into her health troubles.
Got crazy nerve damage through my neck, my back. Very long story within that. I went from a girl in my early 20s kicking some serious ass, super energy, teaching dance conferences, all this stuff, to being bedridden for most of my 20s. And I ended up on disability.
I thought you were still in your 20s.
I'll take that compliment. Thank you, Mr. Naveen. Yeah, I lost most of my 20s I was in bed disabled. And when I went through all of that, you really get down to the emotional part. That was the hardest, which is, who am I if I'm not an actress, if I'm not a dancer, if I'm not a model, if I'm not a comedian, all these things that I thought I was, well, who am I if I'm not that? And it turned out I'm still a cheerleader, because being a cheerleader isn't something you can take away from me. Being a cheerleader is who you are. It's the way you treat life. I fall on my face, I get back up, I smile, I finish the goddamn routine. You know?
What it means to be a cheerleader in your own words?
You know, it's a multi-part. There's that part where you get up and you smile and you finish no matter what happens. And you keep on going throughout the routine. You cheer for other people the way you want to be cheered for, because that's the way it works. Mm-hmm. And cheering works, by the way. There's science behind cheering. And that's why, you know, when fans have the home team advantage, or you have the home team advantage and you have your fans cheering, you're more likely to win. It's just, you know, there's science behind that. You can't build a pyramid with one person. You know those big cheerleading pyramids? You can't do it with one person alone. So when you have a good team around you, you can make way bigger, more beautiful pictures.
Jeez, what she's saying is like so true. I really do feel like this is a sign. Like, this is a sign from the universe. We need to interview her sometime after Naveen Jain. Like, this, look at this. Come on, she's cool.
And it's just all these different things about cheerleading that, to me, is, if everyone was a cheerleader, we'd have a better world.
So is the cheerleader really to you is making other people's dream come true? So it's not just about your own dreams. You're really looking at about other people's dream and saying, can I be on the sideline and have them make their dreams come true?
Yeah, there's literally nothing in the world that makes me happier than cheering people onto their success. And I really believe that if you cheer for yourself, like the whole world's cheering for you, eventually they will. It's contagious. Like, if you're having fun and you believe in yourself too, and people can see what a great time you're having and that you cheer for other people, it's contagious and the whole world cheers for you back.
Well, that's amazing, Nicole, because I always found the people who just love themselves.
Yeah.
If you can fall in love with yourselves, the world will fall in love with you. You are one of the few people I know.
Another very important message, right? Like, self-love. And that really is important.
Yeah, for sure.
I like how you referred to, you know, self-esteem being like the reputation you have with yourself, right?
Right.
Where did you get that type of language?
I was gonna say, it's not me. It's Naval Ravikant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I tell people all the time to follow Naval Ravikant on Twitter, and he's got a really good YouTube channel. Where he's taken a lot of his podcasts and interviews that he's done and just put it into very small bits onto YouTube, or he has his whole 3.5 hour long YouTube video, How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky. It's a very accurate title. He will tell you how to get rich without getting lucky. And a lot of this is just self-help type things, business type things, practical, logical, common sense things. And he says, you know, that self-esteem is simply the reputation that you have with yourself. So if you have low self-esteem, there's a reason for that. It's because you're not happy with certain aspects of yourself. And if you're not happy with those aspects, then you just have to figure out like why you're not happy about those, and then figure out if it's possible to change them. And if it's possible, then you have to develop a plan to change them. And I guess I'm just such a logical, pragmatic person as I become older and older and older and really know myself and analyze how I'm different than most people. I just take a really logical, pragmatic, data-driven approach to every single thing in life. And if there's something I want to change, I try and change it. And so for me, this aging stuff, to me, it's just a technical problem. And I believe that we will figure it out eventually. When I say we, I mean the species. I just want to be alive when this actually happens. And I want to actually have an impact on it. And I think that we can do that, but it's going to be a lot of hard work.
Definitely. I agree. Secure aging. All right,
Yep.
so it's probably getting late for you.
Yeah, it's getting late. This is good with her. I like this interview, so maybe we could watch this one more later. But everybody, make sure that you check the link in the description. It's also in this live chat here at the very beginning. Roen had the link to the live stream. That's why we've done this. We're going to be live streaming with Naveen Jain on June 16th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. The longevity team on our longevity channel, not here on Eternal Life Fan Club on our longevity YouTube channel. So definitely go ahead and set a reminder for that. Click the link, set the reminder. We're really excited. He's a very intelligent, self-made billionaire, and he is more than money, doing really important work, I believe, by being the founder and CEO of Viome, the world's leading microbiome testing company. So it's, I think it's had an impact on my life. You know, it's one of those things where I can't say for sure, but I can tell you I've been doing it for about 14 months now, eating my Viome diet, and I remember from like April, May, June, the first few months I was taking it, I was like, all right, something. I won't get into a whole lot of details, but like my number twos just were like healthier, kind of more like when I was younger. I'll just say much healthier and more regular. So that's the best like objective data that I can share. But I know it's anecdotal, but it was objective for me. There was an objective, clear change for me personally.
That is so awesome. Can't wait to interview Naveen, and this will be awesome. So, yeah, have a good night. Have a good sleep. I might just watch a little bit more of this. Maybe I'll show the audience the trailer the trailer for our longevity channel while I go get something to drink because I'm thirsty.
Yeah, that'd be great. Awesome, Roen. Well, thanks for having me on Eternal Life Fan YouTube channel. I want eternal life. For Sherry Vaughn out there, I want eternal life. That is the goal. That's the mission. It's what I'm working my ass off on every freaking day. I am a true immortalist. I want immortality. The difference, I think, Sherry, that maybe has been miscommunicated from some of your comments I've seen on YouTube is that I don't necessarily believe that this is going to happen. I'm not a believer. And that's why I'm working so hard, because I want this so bad. And we need to get other people to be working on this mission so that we can all have eternal life here on Earth in this reality. And maybe go to other planets. I want to go to other planets and galaxies, but that's going to take a lot of work. We need like every person on the planet right now to be Elon Musk to make that seem more realistic. So I want all these things. I'm just not confident they're going to happen. So it's just for me more motivation to work on happen.
Me too. I think all the Eternal Life fans should get on, would approve of that, what you just said there. And I agree. Like it's so important not to get overconfident. You know, it's called the Eternal Life Fan Club, not because we know we're gonna get Eternal Life. It's the Eternal Life Fan Club because we're fans of it, and that's why we have to work so hard to make sure it's gonna happen, because we're not sure right now, and we're very afraid that we're not gonna get it. You know.
Right, and like let's not kick our feet up and just assume that this is gonna happen, and that all these other scientists and entrepreneurs are gonna save our lives and give us great health. No, you have to work for it. You have to earn it. Certainly right now in 2020, you have to work and earn it. Maybe that won't be true in the future if science and other entrepreneurism are able to bring products and services to the free market like gene therapy and personalized medicine, microbiome services, and so on and so forth to get us living longer and increase our health spans. But for now, that's not the case. We have to work hard for this. And this is not a religion, folks. So that's my whole point. This is not a religion. I don't have faith in this. I believe in science, and I know a decent amount about the science, and I interview a lot of the top scientists on longevity. And it has not made me more optimistic that we're going to cure aging from interviewing a lot of these people. And I've interviewed Ray Kurzweil. I've read all of his books. I quite possibly have watched more Ray Kurzweil on YouTube than any other human being on the planet. So that's not a cop-out. And that's not, I want to make sure that everybody understands that as well too. So I'm woke on the 2045 stuff. I don't necessarily believe it's going to happen. I'm not that convinced. We have to make it happen. So yeah, I've been following Ray Kurzweil for a long time now, about 14 years. It's 2020. I haven't seen enough change. I have not seen enough change since I started really following Ray Kurzweil from a technological standpoint. Where's the flying cars? Where's the advanced gene therapy that's cheap, that's actually showing to work? I want it. I want it, and I want it soon. I want it as soon as possible. So let's make it happen. Get involved. Whatever you can do, contribute, support us, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, follow us on social media. Help find very credible people for us to interview. Very credible people. Don't bring us a bunch of jokers. Get Naveen Jain type people. Contact George Church. Contact David Sinclair. Contact all of these credible scientists and tell them to come, on our show. We can all play a part in this to help out, get this message out to a mass audience. Contact celebrities. Get Keanu Reeves. Get Grimes. Get people who we know.
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. People that Roen has pointed out on his YouTube channel. If you don't know who the celebrities are who want eternal life, you're on the right YouTube channel. Just go to his videos and search for him. Roen's done a great job of making clips of celebrities who say they want eternal life. Contact those people. Contact Joe Rogan. Get us on Joe Rogan. There's things that you can do. You want eternal life? Get involved. We're working our ass off every single day doing the best we can to bring eternal life to all humans, not just wealthy elite or white people or any race, creed, or anything. We're trying to bring eternal life to all humans. That's our mission. Right, Roen?
Absolutely. I couldn't
Who
agree
can get
more.
on board with that? Who doesn't want to live longer and live healthier? Come on.
Yep. We're gonna have fun, man. The future's gonna be freaking awesome, incredible, the best thing ever. Don't want to miss out on that. We got to give people the fear of missing out on the future,
FOMO. Yep.
FOMO.
Well, my immediate future has me going to my bed and laying down. So, Roen, thanks again for having me on, and look forward to chatting with you tomorrow, and look forward to seeing your audience in the near future as well.
Definitely. Thanks for coming on, Brent. Have a good night.
All right. See you around.
Bye. All right. Let's show you guys the longevity trailer in case you guys haven't seen it. You guys should already know about this, but just in case, watch this. Watch this. While I get some water, and then I might watch a little bit more of this interview, and then probably go to bed very shortly.
I gotta have more cowbell.
You lose. It was Professor Plum.
I said Plum.
When I answered the phone, they were like, "You apply for the job," and I'm like, I did. Well, let's see where this goes. But I hadn't know nothing about policing, nothing. Except when I got arrested when I was 8.
Hey, I'm Dave Rubin, and just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and click the bell so that you actually see our videos. A pretty novel idea, I know. All right, more importantly, joining me today is a former Arizona police officer and now the co-founder of the Blexit movement. Brandon Tatum, welcome to the Rubin Report.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. You do realize that your shirt is going to trigger an awful lot of people on the internet.
Well, I'm hoping so. I mean, I don't see why. We live in America.
Who is this guy? America first. That's a message I can agree with. Let's watch this a little bit more of the interview with
who have gone through adversity that you talked about, but you came out of it even stronger.
Oh yeah.
And you thought you could impact the millions of people's life. Now you're impacting hundreds of millions of people's life.
Yeah.
So tell me, how is it all happening?
How am I not cheering? You know what I mean? Like, even when daily struggles go on, that's what makes me keep cheering, is I know I get to impact people. So in my darkest night, I like to call it, I was not trying to say this with a smile, but I got to the chronic pain point where I was ready to commit suicide.
Oh my God.
There was no help for me. I was crushing my teeth in my sleep from TMJ that was so bad. I would wake up with pieces of my teeth gone. I'd swallow them in my sleep. Yeah, it was awful. I was sleeping on the ground of my grandma's house because that was the most comfortable. I couldn't do any of the things I wanted to do to function. Usually couldn't even go to the washroom, like normally. So it was really, really bad. And then I had a snapping point when I read there was a medical document that came to me that I was approved for disability indefinitely, which is really hard to get. And I always, you tried to get on disability when you needed it, but then when they told me I didn't have to keep doing the tests, it scared the shit out of me. I was like, they gave up. The doctors gave up. Yeah. They're done. They're like, okay, well, she's a write-off. And I had this moment where I just went, I always say I heard Denzel Washington in my head go, it's not time to give up, it's time to get up. And I got all the game day stuff going on, and I was like, this, sorry if you have to bleep that. But that was my moment of just no, this is not my life. And I was so lucky that my dad yelled at me too. My dad had never really yelled at me, he didn't need to. But my dad went through cancer, he had MS, he went through all these crazy things, and he kept working, he kept going, he kept raising the kids. And he came over and he kind of yelled at me like a coach does. On the way out, he slammed the door when he left my place. And he's like, you keep going. He's like, is this it? Are you done then? Are you just done? And I snapped and I went, no, I'm not done. I'm getting started. And I don't know if you believe in God, Allah, Buddha, whatever, but I talked to God and I made a deal. And I was like, if you let me come back, I will bring everybody else with me.
Wow.
And that's my thing.
So how did you get there? Just a little journey of how did it all happen?
So this is why I'm so excited for Go Team Academy that's coming up, because so many people ask me this and I've detailed it. The mindset, people don't realize how your mind affects your body, affects your nervous system, affects everything that goes on in you.
This is bidirectional, isn't it?
Exactly.
Your mind impacts your body, and your body and gut impacts your brain.
Exactly, which is what I'm learning from you, which is so cool. But the first thing that I did is I bought Louise Hay books. I had no money, and I scraped at the bottom of the couch and everything, went to the bookstore. I bought Louise Hay, How to Heal Your Life, and another book, and then one other one about the power of the mind. And I cut out every single negative thing in my life. I wouldn't watch the news. I wouldn't watch CSI. I wouldn't watch horror films. Anything that made me tense or have nightmares, because I already had night terrors.
All right, guys. I think that's enough for now. I'm going to go to bed. Thank you guys for watching. And it's been wonderful. Definitely make sure you don't miss this awesome interview we're going to do with Naveen Jain on the Longevity channel. See you over there. Good night.